Hey, what's up, guys? We have Jeremy here. He is a digital nomad, and he's from France, and right now he's currently in Germany. So, how's it going today? How you doing today, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to be chatting with you for the next couple of hours.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first, then we'll go from there?
Sure. So as you said, I'm a digital nomad. So behind the label that I'm not a massive fan of, I am. What I mean is I'm a full-time traveler. I don't have a home base anymore, and it's been the case for 4 years. And I travel with my wife. We've been living in the four corners of the world for the past 4 years. And along that, I'm working on my own businesses. So I had a business for the past 3 years developing an online yoga school. And now I am focusing on doing coaching and consulting work to help other people and small businesses to be a little bit more intentional about how they live their lives and how they run their own business.
Okay, cool. So, you're kind of like a consultant then? It sounds like
Yeah.
almost like okay. Did you have to like how do you become a consult? Is it like a hard job to get to become a consultant? Like, did you go to school for that, or how did you become a consultant?
No, so it's been a process, let's say. Uh, I graduated from a software development master degree back in 2011. So I have a very techie computer science background. I spent the first decade of my career working either as a software developer or as an operation manager, working in tech startups in France. And after 10 years, I felt that I enjoyed what I was doing, but I felt that I was of kind a bit stuck, I wasn't fulfilled anymore by what I was doing. It was fine, it was paying the bills and everything, but it wasn't fun or challenging anymore. And I'm someone very curious who likes to learn new things and be challenged. So that's when I started doing, that's when I planted the seed of a seed of like, okay, what if I try to grow my own business? So I started in 2020, 2021, helping one of my friend who was a yoga teacher to build some online yoga platforms. I've been that for I've done that for 3 years. And eventually what I realized was what I'm good at is actually using my tech and nerdiness, which is very natural to me, to help less tech savvy people to bring the project into a reality. There's a lot of people out there that would qualify as creative that are very good at the craft, like, I don't know, a photographer, someone very good at speaking about something, a yoga teacher, whatever. But as soon as they have to touch a computer and do too much tech stuff, they get overwhelmed and lost, and they don't know how to get started and how to operate. And that's what I find fun. Like, a lot of people call that the boring stuff. I call that the fun stuff. So it became natural to then switch to like, okay, I'm just going to help other people as a consultant to help those people develop their own business and help them like organize and put the right process in place and stuff like that. So it kind of became natural based on my personality and interest and yeah, what I've realized over the years.
Yeah, that's definitely a good background to have. I feel like is software development or tech or whatever. I wanted to do like computer science, but I wasn't able to do it back when I was in college. It was too complicated for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I could probably even use your help with the tech side of things. Especially I don't know if you do like promotion and stuff like that, but like or SEO that type of stuff, like kind of whatever you I guess you would call it promotion or like online just visibility more like on different like social media and stuff like that.
So I don't specialize in marketing in this sense. I don't specialize in I'm going to help you grow from X to Z and I'm gonna guarantee you sales or whatever. I am more about I'm gonna help you to streamline your internal processes and operation so you can spend less time on the boring stuff and more on your craft. That's more the thing that really I'm good at and I like. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like social media. I don't like marketing. It is a necessary thing because those days if you don't do any online marketing you can't exist in the online world, but it's not something that excites me, so I don't provide that as a service for people because it wouldn't be genuine for me.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start with the digital nomad stuff though. So you started in 2021, so that was probably, I'm assuming, kind of still during COVID, right? For you guys,
Yeah.
like the kind of like the end of towards the end, I guess, of the lockdowns or whatever. I don't know how it was in France for you guys
Yeah, so
or
it
anywhere else,
depends where
but
you were. Yeah. So during COVID, my wife and I lived in Miami, in Florida. So in Miami, COVID was gone in 3 months. I think we got a lockdown from March 2020 to June 2020, and from June 2020, everything was back to normal in Miami. It was a bit crazy.
yeah.
Um, but
But I mean,
the
did
rest,
you still
yeah.
see a lot of people like around you like kind of having it? Like I know they kind of like ended the any type of lockdown, but it's like was there still kind of like, people getting it or whatever, you know what I
No,
mean?
it was the first. I would say 2021 and early 2022 was a bit of a pain to manage all the logistic of traveling during this phase. Because even without the lockdown, uh, now we traveled back to France, we went to England, then we went to South America, and you had to get tested every time you got into a flight 48 hours before. Um, you yeah, you had to wear like, I mean, in Peru you had to wear two masks everywhere you went, for example. I remember that. Like I got kicked out of a shop because I was wearing only one mask and you had to wear two of them.
Where
Stuff like
where was
that
that?
in Peru.
Oh, Peru.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. So
So
they were like real gnarly about it then.
yeah, and they had literally a security guard at the front of every single shop to like wash your hands or check your temperature in front of every single regular store in the street. It was crazy
How
over there.
how was France like, or just Europe in general? France, and I don't know how many places you were in Europe, but I
So
guess France since you're from there.
yeah. During COVID, I was a bit of France and England. I would say it was in between what I've experienced in the US, in Florida, and in between that and South America, in a sense that we still had to be tested and we still had to wear masks every time we took a bus or we flew somewhere or stuff like that. It was restricted in how many people you could hang out with and stuff like that, but it wasn't as strict as it was in South America in terms of also like checking temperature and washing your hands, stuff like that, every single doorstep or stuff like that. So it was a kind of an in between both continents, I would say.
So for some reason, South America was really strict. Like, do you think was there like a legitimate reason for that? Not to get too far down like the COVID rabbit hole, but it's like, was there a legitimate reason that certain countries went too far? Like, was it just worse down there, or like or was it more of just kind of like a control type thing, or do you
Um,
know?
I don't know if it was worse, to be honest. I'm not sure about the numbers and everything. What I'm gonna assume here, okay? This is based on just my opinion. I have no fact behind that, but I assume some less developed country probably had less access to vaccines and stuff like that. So I think they were a little bit more careful about how to manage the crowd. And also there is something to be said about Latin countries like big gathering. Like when you go to any Central or South American countries, uh, family live together from the grandchildren to the grandmother in the same house very often. When you do a birthday party, there's 50 people. There's the entire neighborhood invited. So I think culturally speaking, Latin people tend to spend a lot of time in groups and gathering. So I think having a little bit more uh, things in place to control potential infections and stuff like that, plus maybe less vaccines than you would have in the US or in Europe or stuff like that. I would assume that, but I'm not sure to be honest.
And then in France and Europe in general, I guess France and Europe in general, like, did you guys have the same vaccine kind of issues that not issues like because I didn't look at it as really an issue, but like some people looked at it as like they
Yeah,
were forcing the vaccine there. Like, did you guys also deal with that kind of stuff where everybody was like, oh man,
yeah.
they're trying to
It
force us
was
to take it?
it was very very similar. Yeah, the way the government handled it and also the way people reacted, it was very 50-50. And yeah, it was very similar experience to North America, I would say.
Okay, yeah, I'm just like kind of
Yeah.
curious to how it was in other countries because when it was happening, I was kind of like, well, like a lot of people were like even people like around me were saying like it's a hoax or whatever, or like it's bullshit or whatever. But it's like it's happening to like the whole world. So it's like there's no way that like if every country is doing a lockdown, there's no way. It's like it's not just happening in America. So I kind of figured it was a
Yeah,
literal global pandemic. I think at some point it was very serious. Like maybe it kind of got blown out of control. Like at some point, I don't even really know if I would necessarily. I don't know enough to necessarily say that, but I just kind of looked at it as if every country is doing something about it, it must be pretty serious, right?
yeah. And it's interesting also because I think I actually read something about it last week. Um, a study was done in, I think it was Sweden and Finland, which are literally next to each other. And I don't remember which one, but one of them was very strict in the way they handled vaccines and quarantine and lockdown and stuff like that. And the other country was more lax, like we're not gonna impose anything on people. They do what the hell they want and stuff like that. And they looked at it 5 years later, and the numbers in both countries are very, very similar in terms of cases and death and all that. So it seems like there's no magic solution. And I think overall, I don't know, nature, whatever you want to call it, made everything balanced. But no, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get into conspiracy theory, but yeah, it was global. And when you were traveling, that was not the best time to start a digital nomad life. Let's put it this way, because it was a pain in the ass at the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, if I guess if you want to get out of wherever you are to a more, even though, like I said, it was a global thing, but like if you want to try, like you got to Miami, so you kind of went from a place that maybe was more strict to maybe was like if you go some like if you go somewhere that's less strict, maybe it could be better. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's interesting though that it's like they're like because I mean I don't really know like once again I don't really want to get too far into COVID, but it's like I kind of wonder what made this such a big deal. If it wasn't as big of a deal, like if we overhyped it, like what was the corona? Was it just so many people were dying in the beginning, maybe from it? I don't know. Like I don't know why this compared to anything else was
I
such a
think
big deal. I don't know. You know what I mean? But
I think we got, and when I say we, I mean humans. I think we got overwhelmed by something that we didn't understand and by something that was new. And I think a lot of people got scared and they didn't know how to deal with the situation because it was a kind of a first, right? It kind of never happened before, or at least for quite a while. Uh, and I think people freaked out, to be honest. And I think people didn't know how to manage it. And I think, you can be on whatever side of, it's real, it's fake, vaccine, non-vaccine, all that. I would not like to be a politician when that happened. Because
yeah,
whatever you were going to do, whatever decision with the best intention in the world you would take, you would have half of the people hating you. And ultimately they were taking decisions based on gut feeling more than fact because we don't like usually when anything happened, we look at the past and we look at okay, that happened 10 years ago, like a financial crash happened 10 years ago. We can learn from now. We know usually it takes this amount of time to recover on the market, so we can put things in place to react and balance everything out. That never happened before. No one had any data to like what can we do to solve that and manage it in the best way ever. Like people were lost, I think, and that's a recipe for disaster in a way because yeah, because it was. I think everyone was improvising, to be honest, and it was like, yeah,
yeah. But like what's weird about it to me is the fact that like it feels like there's kind of like new viruses or whatever that like pop up. Like isn't there like a new flu virus like almost like every year? So it's
yeah,
kind of like I kind of wonder why this one was so much bigger than um any other one that like
yeah.
pops up that you hear about. But anyway, so you got out. It sounds like you intentionally kind of get out of France at that point to go to Miami because it was more
No, so
mellow or
I was actually living in Miami before that. I was living in Miami. I moved to Miami at the end of 2017, um, and I lived there for 3.5 years. So I was there for the whole COVID situation.
okay. And so how did you
Yeah.
feel about Miami in general or just I guess America in general compared to where you were? Like would you say you like it better or worse or?
I I loved my time I loved Miami. Um, I think Miami is a bubble in America. Let's put it. Oh, America is a massive country, right? Like you have 50 states. Like it's a huge country. From a state to another, I think you could have a very different experience, just like you would have in Europe from a country to another. You can't. I don't think you can compare the US to a country. I think it's more like a continent with different background and everything. I loved Miami. I moved to Miami um, after experiencing some infant loss with my wife in 2017. And after 6 months of not good time, let's just put it this way, um, we needed a change. And the startup I was working for in France just gave me this opportunity to move to Miami because they were opening a new office over there. And they asked me if I wanted to move there with them to start a thing there. So it came at the perfect time. It's what we needed. We needed a fresh start, to forget about something that happened and try to heal and start fresh. And in this sense, Miami was a blessing. I kind of say like Miami saved us in a way because we were able to, like I said, to heal and start fresh in a new environment. And let's be honest, there could be the worst place to live, right? When you live on the beach, it's nice weather all year round, and yeah, it's sunny. You have palm trees. You're outside all the time. It's very good when you are in this dark mental state to be outside, to be by the beach in nature and surrounded by beautiful sunny stuff. It's a good environment to heal.
Yeah, and where were you in France?
So I'm from the south of France, a town called Perpignan in the south, just before the Spanish border. I spent the first 20 years of my life down there. And then once I graduated, I moved to Paris for 1 year to get a job, first job. 1 year in Paris, but Paris wasn't my cup of tea. So I moved back down south and lived for 6 years in the south. So yeah, I've always been in the south of France, a couple of places, but south of France.
Okay. Is that near the ocean at all or?
Yeah, it's on the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
know that there's like some good surf spots like in like I think it's what is it? I want to say Marseille, but I don't think it's not Marseille.
No,
It's
it's on the other side.
Hossegor.
It's on the yeah, Osgorsk. Yeah,
Hossegor.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
kind of
great
like on
port.
the other side of the coast though.
Yeah, this is on the Atlantic side on the west. I was more on the east on
Okay.
the
Do
yeah.
you do any surfing at all or no?
No, I've never surfed, never tried it. I do
Okay.
paddle boarding. That's as close as it gets for me, but never done
You
surfing.
look like you could be like a surfer. That's why I ask. But
My
yeah,
wife always says that, but I've never done it.
yeah. Um, so in terms, do you guys have any kids now or
No, no, this is something that we tried 4 times and we had 4 unfortunate experiences. The third one in 2017 being the most traumatic, and since then, um, it's been a complicated subject. But mentally speaking, I'm not personally in a place where I feel like trying again. And my wife has more ups and downs in terms of do I want a child, do I don't want a child, and yeah, it is something that we talk about, we discuss, but there's also not that we old, but we're getting older, and there is also plenty of things to take into account. There is the lifestyle we live is not also very compatible with having a toddler. So there's many things to take into account. But no, at the moment, it's not something on the table anymore because, I mean, to be honest, like I've been traumatized by it. I don't see pregnancy as anything joyful anymore, which is very sad to say, but it is what it is.
yeah?
So yeah,
Were they all like miscarriages or did any of them?
no. So we had the first one was a miscarriage, very early on. The second one, which was the let's call it the traumatic one, was the pregnancy started well. We went for the 3 month scan. Everything was fine. So we told everyone. We knew he was a little boy. So we actually, but we were past the phase of like we might have a miscarriage. We were like, okay, things are going well. So we are excited. We actually start about thinking about names and this and that and everything. And when we did a scan at around 5 months, we found out that the baby had a lot of physical problems, and it came down to a genetic disease that he had. Um, I'm French, my wife is English. We met in Australia, and both of us are carrying a gene that, when mixed together, create this disease. And there's only 150 cases reported in the world, and usually it happens when people from the same family uh, uh, have babies together. So they were like, "Are you sure you're not related?" It's like, "No, we are definitely not related, like at all." Yeah, we just got unlucky, to be honest. So the baby had a lot of things health-wise. So we basically had to take the decision to end the pregnancy at 6 months in France, and it was very traumatic because ultimately it's a decision that we had to take. Um, it, it was a choice, but also it wasn't. Depends how you look at it. Like we had the choice, obviously, but with all the circumstances that we had, it was the only thing that we could do in a way. But my wife still had to give birth to the baby at 6 months. So it was a small baby, but it was still a baby. She had to go through the birth of a dead baby, basically, and that was, very traumatic by itself, like the whole experience, and it's not what you expect for your first pregnancy and your first delivery. So yeah, that was very hard. It took us a long time to heal and to get over it, and to I don't I don't know if we are over it in a way. You never get over it, but we accepted it. We moved on. So that was the second one, and then the third one was a miscarriage in Cuba. Not the best place to have a miscarriage, um, because when you want to have access to sanitary stuff when that happens, Cuba is not a good place for it. It was very unfortunate. It was a day before my birthday. And then the third one was during COVID in Miami, and it was a missed miscarriage. So the baby stopped growing, but at 11 weeks, the baby was still measuring 6 weeks. So he stopped growing inside the belly, but it was still there in a way, and eventually ended up like a miscarriage. So yeah, we had a lot of ups and downs with all that.
Yeah, I feel like, unqualified to talk about it, but I mean, just because it's like I don't I just couldn't imagine how you know sad that would be. But I mean, I guess like one good it's just I don't even know if this is like a good thing to say, but it's like one good thing is like at least it happened before as opposed to after. I couldn't imagine actually having like a kid and then like losing the kid or them dying or whatever. I mean, I kind of feel like it's in a way it's a little. I mean, I don't like I said, I'm not probably good to talk about this, but like at least it like in my mind it would be better to have it been before than happen when they're like five
that
or
was
something, right?
that was our reasoning as well. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but yeah, we had the same uh, way of thinking. It's
Yeah. Some people
basically
might get like mad that I say that, but it's like
no, yeah, and
if you
there's
have
no
to
right
look
way
at
to do it. But
yeah.
yeah, we like what the doctors told us is that the the chances of the baby being alive at birth was very, very, very small. And if by a miracle he was gonna make it, he would have had to spend 2 years of his life at the beginning in a hospital to have an. The first thing was heart surgery because his heart was not developing properly, so he would have had a heart surgery as soon as he was born. And if he had survived that, he would have had to add some surgery on his chest because he had lung issues and bones issues with the chest bones and stuff like that. Problem with there was so many things that he would have spent the first 2 or 3 years of his life in a hospital having surgery every 6 months, and that was just thinking about that. I was like, we don't want to put him through that. We don't want to go through that. So yeah, I understand what you mean because those things cross our mind as well, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah. And how old are you guys now?
Now we're both 37, and we were 30 years old when that happened.
Okay. So is there anything else you could do about it now? I don't really know how like, modern medicine or whatever like works with that, but like I know
Yeah.
there are like kind of like some alternatives, right? Like would you still be able to like could you have like a what do they call it? Like another person who like kind of gives birth to the baby and it's still like your guys' baby or whatever, that type of thing
So
or
so the best option if we wanted to do something would be well, if we want the baby to be actually ours, both of us, we would have to probably do some sort of IVF. And during the process of uh, creating the embryos and stuff like that, they would be able to do genetic testing on the embryos, and they would be able to detect uh, if the embryos has the disease, the disorder or not. So they would be able to select the good ones and implant the good ones, so the pregnancy would be free of this potential disease. So that's the best option if we want our own baby, but that costs a lot of money. Now we're talking about 10 to 15K um, with no guarantee to have a baby, because once you implant the embryo, the embryo might not actually get implanted in the uterus. You can still have a miscarriage. You can still have everything else with like a normal pregnancy. So the whole process would help to get rid of this specific condition, but a lot of other things could happen potentially, and every time it's you have to pay every time.
would that be like through an I forgot what they call that the person who like gives birth, what do they call that, like if it's like
A
another person
surrogate?
like would that be through a surrogate or would it still be through your
No,
wife?
that could be through my wife. Yeah, we wouldn't need to have a surrogate for that, because the problem is not about like carrying the baby. It's more like a chromosome or genetic stuff that's usually causing the baby not to develop in a right way. Um, but yeah, so we're not there yet. It's more like it's very interesting, this topic, because since all that happened, we had to take some time, obviously, without thinking about it, because we had to heal and we have to move on and stuff like that. And then you start to like question a lot of things, like, why do I want a child? Do I still want a child? Is it okay not to have a child in a society that, like, society makes people feel strange if they don't have children as couples? Like, so, like when you meet someone, so many people ask you like, "Oh, do you have a kid?" Like, it's like a normal question to ask to people those days.
Yeah,
And if you say no, you sort of have to justify yourself when you're in your 30s. It's like, why do I need to justify myself on the fact that I do or don't have a child? And there
yeah,
is this societal like pressure that is kind of invisible, of like, you're supposed to have a child and stuff like that, which is interesting, which I questioned a lot since all that happened, in terms of like, the desire. Because the truth is that my wife and I are very happy together. We live a good life, just the two of us, and we would have loved to have a child at some point in our life, but maybe now we don't anymore, and that's okay also, right?
yeah.
But you still get questioned for some reason by a lot of people, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I was gonna ask that, but obviously I also didn't really want to come off unsympathetic. But it's kind of like I've asked myself the same thing. It's just kind of like why do you want a child? And it's
Yeah,
like because like me and my fiance, like I think I mean ultimately I think she like it's kind of like personal and sad to say, but like she wanted one or she kind of wants one, but we're still kind of iffy about it, and I'm definitely iffy about it mainly because of like anxiety reasons, like what if something goes bad, and it does,
yeah,
and it can. And also I mean just to be honest with you, just like the responsibility of having a kid. And but yeah, I mean I think the same thing is kind of like why, like I'm kind of like why, like is it some sort of natural thing, is it like you said like a society type thing where it's like you kind of almost feel like abnormal or something if you don't. But
Yeah.
luckily, I'm kind of in a situation where like, even though I know that's a question that a lot of people ask, I don't really get asked it too much, and I also kind of think that it's like it's a personal question. And it's kind of almost like a, I don't want to say it's like a rude question, but it's like rude if people are kind of saying like you should or like you need to type thing. But it's like it's none of their business whether you do or not. And if you
Yeah.
can be happy with that one, like you said, you and your wife are, then you don't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's
It
nothing
doesn't
wrong
make
with it.
you it doesn't make you a bad person or less of a couple or whatever.
No, and
But
obviously you guys
yeah,
tried and you couldn't, so it's like, what are
yeah.
you supposed to do? Have you considered like adoption or anything like that?
We we thought about it, but it's not easy to be honest. It's it's even more expensive than any IVF would be, and also
That's crazy.
you need to. It's also a very funny one. Like it's gonna sound strange what I'm gonna say, but I'm sure you're gonna get it. Uh, when you want to adopt, you you are like assessed by a lot of organizations to make sure that you are a good person and that you are fit to have a baby because they don't want to give a kid to people that maybe shouldn't have a kid, which I understand why they do that. But also, when you look at it, there's plenty of people having babies naturally that should not have babies in a way. Um, but
Yeah.
like you get questioned and assessed, and you asked to pay so much money when you want to adopt. That is, it's a shady business. It looks like a very strange business when like you're feeling question. Like I
Mm.
don't know. It's a funny one as well.
Well, for you guys, is it kind of like an issue being since you're traveling all the time? Like, it's kind of like
Yeah, that would be.
what country would actually kind of do the, like who would actually is do be the one doing the
I
paperwork
don't
or
think
whatever?
I don't think anyone would give us a baby those days. Just like no one would give us a mortgage because we live a life that is so unconventional. Uh, like we don't live anywhere technically. Um, we don't have a home, stuff like that. I think like we often talk about that. Like no one is gonna give us money if we want to buy something. No one is gonna give us a child if we wanted to adopt, just because we live an unconventional life and we don't fit into the box. Like they're all gonna come with a checklist, and we're not gonna be able to check the boxes of the checklist. We're not
Yeah.
the right
But
people.
it sounds like you did look into it and you did kind of, because you said it was very hard. Where did, like, who did you look into it with? Like, was there one specific country or region or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
No,
since you're traveling around, is there like an
we
international type thing or?
ultimately you can adopt in well, it's interesting. It's actually getting regulated more and more. But until recently, you could adopt kind of anywhere as long as you had the money and you had a good application. And let's put it this way: usually, when you are a white couple living in a good country, you check a lot of boxes. Uh, it's just what it is. And some countries are more expensive than others. Some countries are more uh, compliant or flexible than others. Like some countries in Asia, some countries in like I think Colombia, for example, is kind of very easy to adopt children in Colombia. I don't know why, but just the regulation are kind of very easy over there. So some countries are easier than others, but it's actually changing though. It's interesting because less and less people have children those days, and population is declining in a lot of countries. A lot of countries, such as China, is now making it illegal for foreign couples to adopt children there because they want the children to stay in the country to help the population bounce back after years of decline. So it's actually changing on this side, which is interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, like, did you guys actually try when you were in a
No,
specific location? No, you just
no,
you
no,
kind
we
of
no
just
no we yeah
okay,
we read
okay.
about it. That was it.
You just know that in general that it's complicated. Okay. So and
Yeah.
then one other question on that would be like, I mean, what do you think it is like? because it obviously seems like you wanted kids and your wife did. What do you think that it is? Like we kind of went over the societal reasons, maybe evolutionary reasons, but like for me, I just don't necessarily feel like I have that kind of um strong desire, but I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of, I think especially women do. What do you think that it is? Do you think it is society or evolution, or maybe you just you just think they're cute and you love kids, or you know what I mean? Like, what do you think the main thing is?
Uh, I agree with you that I think it's different for men and women. I think women have a natural instinct thing about it that is hard to explain, but I think it's just present more than us. I would assume that. I do agree with you on that. I think we less have this instinct. Um, I think a lot of it, I think a lot of people would disagree with me. I think a lot of it is coming from just the way our world operates, um, the way it's kind of expected from us, the way it's, from school, you're told one day you're going to meet someone and then you're going to have a family and you're going to get married and then you have a child. Like something that is ingrained in us for a very young age. When you watch TV, when you watch Disney, when you read books, it's all about having a family, finding the one, and having babies together, and you live happily ever after. So there is a clear conditioning happening there, and I'm picking the word conditioning in purpose. um, and so I think it is something that is ingrained in our culture from a very young age. So after 2 decades of conditioning, of being told to live a normal life, when you finish school, you're supposed to find a partner, to marry them, to live together, and to have children together. So that's what we believe is the right thing to do to fit in a society. And we don't question it because it's just the way we are told life should be. Everyone is doing it around us, so that's probably right. Um, and I don't think many people really sit down one day and think like, do I deeply in my core want a child, and why do I want it? I don't think a lot of people actually like really, really go too deep about it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of that. I don't I don't think people regret having kids because also it would not be something right to say. I don't think people would admit that. um, but yeah, I don't think a lot of people think about it so much, which is interesting because it's probably the biggest life decision you take.
Yeah, because I mean, some people it just seems like it just happens kind of almost like part of
Yeah,
evolution or part of whatever. It just, like my fiance's sisters, they both have one has one and the other one has two, and then she also has three with the other guy. And it kind of seems like I don't really know. Maybe they did talk about it, but it almost seems like it just for some people it just happens. But for me, it's like
yeah,
unless it was some sort of freak accident, like there's no way that I would just like allow that just to like randomly happen. Like I just couldn't. I don't think I could deal with it. Basically, I think that like if it happened, especially if I was young, where I
yeah,
was like early 20s or even teens or whatever in my 20s, then I would be like, I just can't deal with. I'd be just too young. I wouldn't be able to handle it. But I know for some people, they either want to when it happens or they do deal with it. And there's a ton of
yeah,
things that I feel like society tells you to do that I just don't. I'm kind of just like, why? And I kind of feel like we're getting to a point now in 2025 where it's like, I mean, I like literally was just talking about this with my fiance the other day, where it's like, I wonder if people are just gonna like start like not having kids. People are gonna like start not getting married. People are gonna start not doing all this, like kind of like what you're doing, the whole digital nomad thing, and getting back into that. That is kind of in my opinion, almost like the ideal type thing, where it's like I just want to
mm,
be completely free. I don't really want to be in the same place every day. I don't want to be working in the same fucking like office every day or whatever. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to explore. And we were just actually, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Into the Wild.
yeah,
Yeah, great movie,
yeah,
right? We were just watching that, and that guy obviously went like a little bit too far with it, maybe. But it's like
yeah,
that. I mean, I just like I love that movie because it's like just totally like letting go and like not doing what society wants you to do. And it sounds like you guys are doing that. So getting back into that, how about, well, I don't know how many places you've been doing all that, but it's like, do you want to just start with maybe, we'll go from like place to place or whatever. Like you were in France and you went to Miami. Um, and then I guess, yeah, like where else have you been? And
Yeah,
if you want to go over each place a little bit and like say if you
sure.
liked it or didn't like it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just before I start on that, I just want to acknowledge what you said and jump on that quickly. Yeah. We live in a world where, just like the kid stuff, so many people live a life because it's expected from them, and just because they feel they should live this way. So many people go to uni to please the parents. So many people pick the job to please the parents and the rest of the family and to fit in. And what is it, the expression, like to caught up with the Joneses, something like that, right? Like just to fit
Yeah.
in and not to be an outcast in the group of friends. And what happened is that through, well, 4 decades, right? Because usually we work from roughly 25 to 65. So we spent 4 decades living this life that most people didn't desire. They picked it out of convenience, to please others, to fit in, to make money, but none of those reasons or valid good reasons. And they spend their life just building resentment. And then when they get to 50, 60, they're all like, what the hell have I done with my life? I've wasted my life. And they're all like, I'm going to enjoy my life once I'm retired. And they get to 65 ish and they realize they're old. They realize that they're not able to enjoy the life anymore they wanted because of things happening. And they're all like, fuck, I should have lived my life when I was younger. I should have done this and this and this rather than following what everyone was wanted me to do. And it's like, yeah. So that's why I'm living my life now, because I don't want to wait to be 65 to live my life the way I want it.
Yeah. I totally agree. And like, I hate to, I don't want to sound insensitive, but, you know, but I don't know if you'd be able to be doing this like with kids, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. So, even
It's
though
harder. Yeah.
it's obviously extremely sad what happened, but like, it would be very hard to do it, especially if you had multiple kids to be traveling around all the time. I think that I don't really know, but it could even be maybe bad or whatever for the kids. So the fact that you guys
No,
have
I
the
agree.
freedom to be able to do that, and yeah, and I just kind of like wonder if it is some sort of the whole thing is some sort of evolutionary process to even the society thing where it's like there's some sort of evolutionary process where we should be doing something according to evolution, and society tries to like kind of push because like at some point we needed to have kids and at
Yeah.
some point you needed to do this, you needed to do that, but I kind of feel like we're to a point now where it's like, well, at least in my mind, like we don't really necessarily need to have kids. And then also, I don't know how bad like global warming is gonna get, but like if that gets really bad in 50, like me and my fiance were just talking about this too, where it's like if it gets really bad in 50 years with global warming or whatever, you don't really
Yeah.
necessarily want to bring it. I don't know if it's going to or not, but it's like you don't really, or even with other stuff. Some people think it's getting really bad, like with technology or AI or whatever. I
Yeah.
personally think that it could be getting better. But so, and then also like in terms of that technology and AI and everything, we're kind of getting to a point now where people like you, I think you were kind of saying this in the beginning, where like people can do more what they want, like what you're doing because of technology.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't be able to do this 100 years ago, but
Correct.
now because of Zoom and everything else, you're able to be able to like be wherever and have a conversation with people. So I don't know how you feel about the future in terms of it just becoming more and more like that with especially with now with the AI generated videos
Yeah.
and all the, you know what I mean? It's like people,
Yeah.
who knows like if people are going to be able to make money off this and right?
Yeah.
What do you think about all that?
Yeah. So I agree with you about what you said in terms of ultimately reproducing as a species was necessary for humans for a while. But I think now we reach a point where there is enough enough slash too much human beings on the planet. I mean, we are destroying the planet at an insane rate. So I don't think it would be a disservice to the planet and to us if there is a little bit less children being born every year. And if the population goes down a little bit, I don't think it's going to hurt anyone. So I do agree with you on that.
Exactly. Although
For
some
many
people,
aspects. Yeah.
yeah. So, but some people, it's like Elon Musk still thinks that like we should be having more kids. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
really
mean,
know. And I agree with
yeah.
you. It seems like we're almost at a point where we have too many, but some people think we should still be having more, even though we have 8 billion
Yeah, I mean, if we have
I don't know.
if we have another planet, yeah, for sure. But at the moment, like we are using all the resources of the planet. I think every year in August we use all the resources of the planet, and then we live on future resources for the rest of the year, something like that. So for sure, there's way too many of us living a crazy life out there. But yeah, I don't know. I get I'm more aligned with you than with Elon on this topic. Let's just put
Yeah.
it this way.
Do you do you
um,
do you think that we will get to a point though where we're running out of stuff, but do you think we're going to get to a point with technology where maybe like we start to not need the stuff because we come up with like solar power or whatever? Like, do you think that that's going to be problems going to be fixed or no?
I think we'll figure it out. I think we are very resilient, um, and I think we'll figure something out. It's just a shame that rather than fixing our mess and slowing down on the way we live, so we are less destructive and stuff like that, and less harmful towards the planet, we're just going to build more stuff to put a band-aid on something that's not working anymore, and we're just going to look probably elsewhere. I'm sure we're going to be using space to grow stuff once we have fucked up everything on the planet, and we're just going to spread more and uh, and just put the stuff away where we can't see it, so we won't feel bad about it, so we can still live our lavish life and we won't have to make any sacrifices and compromise on the way we live. But yeah, so is that a good thing or not? I don't know, but I think we'll figure it out.
That's
Um,
crazy, but it's like some kind of like sci-fi dystopian kind of like thing where, but the fact that it could actually happen is like kind of crazy. Like we could actually
I,
like
I I think
we've
we'll see it in
ruined
our
this.
lifetime. I think we'll
We've
see it in
ruined
our lifetime.
within the next like 50 years or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you think we'll like we've kind of ruined this planet, so let's just go to Mars.
yeah.
You think we'll actually
I
get to Mars in our
I
lifetime?
would I would not be surprised if, I mean, it's hard to put a date because I'm an expert, but like I would not be surprised if in the next 20 years the moon is a farming planet satellite, and we just have plenty of factories on the moon doing stuff, and we
Within
have
20
cargo.
years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Whoa.
I would not be surprised by that. It would not surprise me at all.
Do you think people will be living there or will just be using it like as
Probably. Or going back and forth. I mean, it takes like, I think, 9 days to go to the moon. So you could go there for like 3 months and come back.
oh the
You'd have
moon,
a ship. Yeah, yeah,
not
that would be
Mars?
step one. Well, that would be step one, I think. Mars is further away, but I think the moon is step one. And
But I
the
mean,
moon
it's
is
like,
fucked anyway, so we could just grow stuff. We just need to build a massive greenhouse around there, and you can grow anything that you want.
but do we really not have enough land here to do that? Like, do we really need to go to the moon to do that?
I think at some point we will, because we are fucking it up very quickly here.
Yeah, and I guess Elon Musk's solution is just to like kind of like go and like that's like his kind of thinking maybe is like we're fucking it up here, so let's go to Mars or whatever, like or the
I
moon.
I the original concept of going to Mars, I think makes sense. I think now Elon is turning strange.
Yeah,
It's been changing in the past couple of years, but the 10 years ago Elon made sense. He said like, we live on one planet. Our planet could disappear anytime. We can just be hit by an asteroid and bye. Goodbye Earth, goodbye human beings. So he always says like having a backup hard drive somewhere else, it's just the right thing to do in terms of saving our species. So I get that. From, if you look at it from this perspective, it makes sense. But I'm also very curious about if we get to another planet and we get a chance to kind of like start over from scratch, are we going to reproduce all the mistakes that we did here? Like, are we going to create countries? Are we going to create borders? Are we going to have a government, a president, or are we going to have something more democratic, but actually democratic? Or are we just going to copy and paste what we know here? That is not, I mean, it's working, but it also could be better. I'm very curious about what would happen with all that. I think it'd be a very interesting social experiment.
Yeah, it's kind of like what would be the ideal? But it's we were saying with evolution, I think because of that we kind of grew up with tribes or like evolved with tribes and then like had our area. But like if like you said, if we were to move to Mars now and we just inhabited it, could it just be like one giant kind of like one
Yeah,
one giant
like
whatever, like I
yeah,
don't even know what you would call that, like territory or whatever. And
yeah,
I think that's kind of like, isn't that kind of like what they're trying to do here now with like globalism or whatever? Like you hear a lot of talk about like the global. I don't know if you've heard about the globalists or whatever, where it's like
yeah,
they're trying to kind of maybe do that, and like a lot of people think it's like bad or whatever, but really it's actually kind of good if you're able to accomplish it. But I know there's so many areas that like just probably wouldn't want to be involved with that, like the Middle
yeah.
East or whatever. You know what I mean?
That
But I
thing's like
mean, what I mean,
yeah, it's an interesting question because I actually thought about that. I wrote a blog post on my newsletter for that a while ago. Because selfishly, as someone traveling the world, I would love to have some sort of global citizenship, something that would allow me to live anywhere and not be attached to a country. Like, right now, I still need to have a home. I don't have a home, but I need to have a home. So I'm still registered at my parents in France because when you want to open a bank account, when you want to have a phone contract, a SIM card, when you want a health insurance or travel insurance, the first thing you do is first name, last name, address. You cannot live in the world we live in without an address, without a home. So I still use my parents' address, but the world is not designed for people like us living globally. So I would
yeah,
be personally open to something more global, but I'm not naive. I don't think it would ever happen because there's so, I mean, cash is king. There's so much things about money, about immigration. Uh, some countries would happily welcome some people, but not the other ones, because of whatever reason. Some people don't want to have the taxpayer go to another place. Like there's so many layers of admin in and out migration of people, money, and everything that I don't see it happening anytime soon. I don't think. I mean, our politician can't agree on anything in the country or even in the state. So, politicians agreeing on a global level, where there are so many inequalities and discrepancy and everything from a country, from a continent to another, it's never gonna happen. They're too stupid and selfish and greedy to make anything happen.
yeah. And then there are certain places that I think that like probably just don't, yeah, just don't ever want it to happen. Like probably like, I'm assuming like the Middle East or like
Yeah,
China probably doesn't want to do it. Even America doesn't. I don't think most of the country probably wants to do
no,
it. But I would say that like even though we disagree, I would say that there's probably like what like half of the world probably kind of for the most part gets along. Like we get along with like you, France, Germany, like
yeah,
most of Europe, right? And then like I don't know. I feel like we probably get along with like probably half of the world, but then the other half we don't, and it'll probably never happen. But
yeah. And
um,
I think behind the getting along is just because there are plenty of trade deals and negotiation happening, and most of the thing is about you know what can I get from you and what can you get from me? And if I've got nothing to get from you, I don't care about being friends with you. Like I think that's the, I don't know. It might be very pessimistic, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, well, I agree with you. But in terms of the future being, I guess, like bright because of AI, do you, and obviously I want to get to the digital nomad stuff too,
Yeah.
but this stuff is interesting. Um, you being in technology, a software developer and all that, like, do you think that things are going good, going to go good with the AI? Like, how do you view Google at this point with their new
Hmm.
Veo? I don't know how much you follow that type of stuff, but
Yeah, yeah.
Veo 3 and all the AI. I'm actually using a lot of the AI. I'm kind of, I feel
Me
like it's
too.
like, I feel like it's somewhat like grifting because it's like when I make YouTube videos or what I'm doing like a good amount of, like having AI create images and like videos and
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm kind of for it, but at the same time, it's kind of like if it gets too much, nobody's going to know what's real. So, well, yeah, what do you think about the future of technology? And is it going in a good place? Is it also going in a place where people can live more like you, kind of off the grid, just to be doing something on their laptop or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um I I'm an optimistic person in general. So I am optimistic about it. I think we will figure it out. I think the concerns that we have right now with AI, the same concern were raised 30 years ago or 40 years ago when internet came along. The same thing, when at the beginning of the century, before the century before, when everyone had horses, and suddenly someone talked about having cars in the street and stuff like that, a lot of people were probably freaking out, saying, I'm going to be losing my job. What are the machine are going to be doing? We're not going to be able to control it like we can control a horse or whatever. So I think we had those worries in the past about technological advancement, and we always figure it out. Some people lose a job, but it's not usually as bad as the media talks about it. And usually, there's, I don't know how many people that can't do this job anymore, but another set of job is going to open, different skill set. You're going to need to adapt, you're going to need to adjust. I'm not saying it's easy, but overall, when you look at it on a global scale, things balance each other out, I think. um, I think we'll figure it out. I think we are still in the infancy of this whole AI thing. Like ChatGPT was released in November 2022 or three. Like it's like a couple of years old. This thing it's very new. This whole LLM multimodal system, like it's a couple of years, right? So if you look at internet 2 years after it was available to people, or computer 2 years after it was available to people, or smartphone 2 years after it got available to people, it was shit. All of them were just not great. So I think it'll get better. I think we'll figure it out. Um, I think the main thing that we need to be worried about in the next 2 years is we need to stop believing everything that we see online, because we're gonna get a lot of, like you said, like it's so easy now to create of a video of someone, and we can make them say anything. So I think we're gonna see a lot of misinformation, which is gonna get complicated when you have election and stuff like that. Um, and I think it's going to take longer for regulation and safety to catch up. So I think there's going to be a couple of years where we're gonna have to be very careful about what we consume, because a lot of it will be bullshit. uh, but I think we will catch up with it eventually, and we'll find a way to. I don't think we'll be able to regulate it, because ultimately it's an open space, just like internet, right? I'm pretty sure we had the same discussion about internet. Like, wow, you can connect everyone in the world and you can send anything to anyone through internet, and you can, and there's plenty of scam, right? Phishing and stuff like that is happening. But we have better system in place and common sense and everything to identify the good from the bad, and there's a lot of bad happening, but we kind of don't see it anymore because we have good ways. I think we'll figure it out. But it's gonna be interesting. Like I'm very curious to see where we're gonna head as a society with, like since like 5 or 10 years, people talk about universal basic income, where they just want to give people like $1,000 a month, just to do nothing, like just yeah, help. And I think with the advance of technology, we'll get to a point where less and less human have to work as a necessity. We'll want to work because, I don't know, we'll be bored at some point. But it'll be less of a necessity. And I do believe that we'll reach a point where we live in an abundant world where we have enough resources so we can give money, at least like a minimum. I don't know what it would be, but we can give money to everyone, whatever they do, and then if they want to work for more, they can work for more. But I think we'll get there because I think we're going to be developing some things that we can't even comprehend yet. But like you're saying about 100 years ago, no one would be living the lifestyle that I live. Like 100 years ago, I mean, in 1920, that's like our like a very old grandparents compared to us, basically. Like my granddad was born in 1930, so he's even a bit older. Um, you would have tell people 100 years ago, like you're gonna be able to like fly anywhere in the world in 8 hours. You're gonna be able to talk to people wherever they are in the world. It doesn't matter. You're gonna be able to send money. You're gonna be able to do live conversation like that and record them and put them on a website. They would have no idea what the hell you're talking about. They would look at you saying like, you're nuts. You need to be we need to put you in a facility because you're crazy. And I don't think we can comprehend what life is going to be in 50 or 100 years. Same thing. I think it's completely impossible for our brain to have any understanding of what the world could look like with more AI and automation. So I think it's just impossible to make prediction because it will be anything that we can imagine. I think it'll be like 100 times more.
Oh, well, because you think that everything's advancing so quickly that it's actually going to be more than what we even can
Yeah.
imagine.
Like, do you really believe 100 years ago you could have explained to someone what's an iPhone, and you really believe they would have understand you and agree with you? I don't think so.
No, I
It
mean,
would have been way too foreign.
you
Like,
almost kind of wonder if like some of the scientists like Albert Einstein or something would at least be able to kind of realize that it is possible. Like, would Einstein be able to realize that, like, somebody like Einstein, most people wouldn't, but
yeah,
would he be able to realize, okay, an iPhone is possible? Or like, is it just so crazy that like he didn't even think that like we could get to that point?
I think there were too many steps in between to comprehend it.
Yeah.
It's like
And then
I was talking about something completely unrelated with my wife recently, but I was talking about IVF, to go back to making babies and everything. Do you think 100 years ago you would have told people who were trying to have babies, and 100 years ago, infant loss and children dying very young was fairly common, right, compared to now? Do you think you would have said, like, in 100 years we're going to be able to take your sperm, we're going to be able to take your egg, we're going into a room, we're going to put them in a pot together, it's going to be an embryo, it's going to develop, we're going to put it in a box that is very cold, it's a fridge, but we didn't even know what a fridge was, I think, back in, or a freezer at least. We're going to freeze that, and then we're going to be able to take it out of the freezer a month later, defrost it, put it in a woman uterus, and have a baby. Like, I think they would have think you absolutely crazy, and that's more than sci-fi. And here we are, we have that, we can do that. So yeah, I don't think we can ever imagine what's going to be possible in 100 years.
Yeah. One, and it's, I think, kind of like what you're saying is because technology is advancing so much quicker now,
Mm.
it's just going to keep. I forgot if there's like a name for that, but like where it like just keeps advancing so much. Like there's the singularity where it's like eventually we're just going to reach the singularity, which like nobody knows what's going to happen at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, when do you? I know like we're not on here to be talking about this, but it's like even though I am very interested in it, but it's like when do you think that kind of thing is gonna like? I mean, I'm even when you said in 20 years we'll be able to like harvest on the moon, I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, it is possible. But like, when do you think we're gonna get to the point of the singularity? I mean, do you think we're like actually kind of close? Because I don't know if you know like Ray Kurzweil, like do you know Ray Kurzweil? I
Yeah.
think he thinks it's coming like real soon, right? To the point where like we're gonna be able to live forever and all that kind of stuff. And he's getting to the point
I,
where he's like in his 70s or whatever. So I think he really is hoping that happens soon. But
I think it's a matter of, are we going to let it happen? What I mean by that is that we could be already on the moon right now. Like the moon landing was in the 70s, right? Was it 79?
I think so.
Seven, no, 74. It was the 50. Yeah, it was 50 years last year. 74, I think. So we went to the moon 50 years ago, but we didn't go back for 50 years, pretty much. We stopped, but because we went to the moon, because the American president and the Russian president wanted to know who had the biggest dick, and they played a game.
yeah.
And it's like, I'm gonna go to the moon first to just show them the best in the world. They got there, and then they stopped because they didn't have any valid reason to stay there and to do something
There's
with it.
no, yeah, it's not worth any money, right, to go
Yeah,
there.
it wasn't, but I think they would have had a plan, and the space exploration would have carried on from the 70s to now. We would be on Mars already, I think. It's just we stopped, and for 40 years, pretty much nothing happened. No money was invested anymore. And it took a crazy guy like Elon Musk to say, I'm going to go there. And the progress is done in 50 years with SpaceX is absolutely insane. Um, so I
And then
think, yeah,
like
I think to answer your question, I think it's going to be more about, are we going to want as a society to get there, or are we eventually maybe going to get scared, or we're not going to see the point and we're going to stop this technological advancement because for whatever reason, are we going to decide to pause because it's too scary, because or whatever. And so yeah, that's going to be the deciding factor, I think, of it, if it happens or not.
and that's true for the singularity too.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
I think
we're gonna hit a point where it's like we're going too far, like,
we
and
could.
we don't know what's happening next, so let's like halt this, let's stop this. I'm honestly kind of surprised that like the government hasn't stopped the AI already. Almost like I'm kind of like, it seems like it could be like we said with the misinformation. Uh, um, it seems like it kind of is heading down a road where it could become a problem.
Yeah,
Um, and the only thing that I can think justify it is like we know that other countries are doing it, so I guess like we kind of figured, okay, we got to do it because if we don't do it, China's going to do it, and money.
it's
And
all
to be
about money.
honest with you, like I'm not like too worried about the whole AI thing. Like I don't necessarily think that they're going to become like conscious and like take over the world. I'm not worried of that. Obviously, I'm worried of people using it the wrong way or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it. But I mean, what do you think with some of these companies like Google? Like, I kind of wonder what their um what their goal is or whatever. I think, like you said, it's probably money. But like
Yeah.
with this new tool that this video tool, they got to know like everybody's just going to use this tool now to put it on YouTube. And then are they just thinking like not only are we going to be charging for this, but we're also going to be making money off of YouTube for it? But they have to think at some point it's going to get so fucking crazy that, like you said, nobody's going to be able to believe anything on there. So like, what's their plan? I think like I think that
I
part.
don't think I
I think
don't I
that
don't I don't think they know. I don't think they have a plan.
well, I think that part of it with Google is that like I think they're so for AI and they're so for like creating this They're
Yeah,
just
but
so
why?
pro AI, and like
But
they're so.
why?
I mean, I like you could say money, but I think that like a lot of the people at Google like really just do believe in like this like this AI future. Like they're just really behind this. Like that's just the vibe I get from some of them. Obviously, there's money there, but it's like, at what point does the money become? It's just like at what point is it too far? Kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like I almost feel like they might be letting the genie out of the bottle with what they're doing. Like they might be like kind of fucking themselves over because it's gonna get so fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
I think the only reason Google is going hard on AI is because OpenAI was ahead 2 years ago, and Google realized that if they don't do anything, I think Google makes 90% of its money through Google search and ads and stuff like that. And they realize, crap, if people start using AI and someone else AI, no one is going to use our services anymore, and we're going to become irrelevant, and we're going to disappear. Like I use ChatGPT more than I use Google those days for my research. Uh,
I actually
so,
still use. I'm still using Google Gemini
but
for
the thing
whatever
is, like,
reason. But
they had to adapt, and they had. I literally think they were shitting the pants, and it's like, if we don't do something, we're gonna become irrelevant. So they had to pull something out of the box, otherwise they would get replaced. And like, ultimately, they don't care if Google search disappear, as long as you're using Google Gemini instead. It's fine. Google still lives. All they want is they don't want you to give up using their services to go to the neighbors because they would be fucked. I think is
yeah,
I just think is that.
but what's like so weird with it is that so much of the stuff that they're like, I mean, as of right now, obviously this might change in the future. And I know they, like I said, I think they're charging like 250 for like the newest
Yeah,
Veil model or whatever, the Veil 3. But like one thing that I like really like about Google is so much of their stuff is free. It's like insane. Like I can use the image generator for free. I can use like obviously Google Gemini is free, ChatGPT is free, unless you want to pay for like the upgraded
yeah,
version or whatever. So it's like even though like obviously I think their whole goal is to make money off of it, and they
yeah. But
probably
yeah,
are making money off of it. Like so much of the stuff is free that like I'm not really complaining. You know what I mean? It's like I can use Google Gemini for free. I can use their AI image generator. Even some of the, I mean, so it's like, yeah, it's just like
nothing is
I'm
free.
what?
Nothing is free. Nothing is free.
Yeah, so you think that they're
Facebook is free, right? Facebook is free.
yeah,
How many billion are they making every year?
yeah. I mean, off of ads, and so
Why can they have ads? Ads is because you use the product.
yeah, but the whole thing is that like, I don't really have much of a problem with that because I mean, ads kind of just like go right through me. You know what I mean? Like I don't really like I rarely will click on an ad and like buy something. So it's like usually it's just like a 5 to 10 second waste.
Yeah,
I know
but
a lot of people do waste of it.
my point is that everything that you're telling to Gemini right now is going into the Gemini brain, whatever that is. And right now, it's free because to develop those models, they need data. They can do it two way. They can charge people money, or they can give it away for free, and in exchange, they can grab all this data and make the thing better. So right now, it's all free because it's serving them. It's in the best interest to have millions and millions of people using the product for free, so they can collect as much data as possible to make the product better, to give you more, and to have a better product than the competition. Um, so it's in their own interest to make it free because also they have more data, they can improve the ads and everything. So like you said, like Google have some of the best products in the world, and most of them are free, like Gmail and Google Drive and whatever, like um, Google Search, like best product in the world, Google Chrome, and it's all free. But it's a company that's making, I don't know, 80 billion in revenue per year or some stupid number like that, right? So
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I know that like they're still making money off of me, but like I just don't really have much of a problem with that because Um, I just don't really care if they're taking information off of me. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that I don't really feel like I'm giving them much. And it's like, to be honest with you, like I said with the ads, it's like, um, I don't usually buy anything off the ads. Don't really
Yeah.
affect me. I mean, I know it probably affects me in some sort of subconscious level where like
Yeah.
I'm seeing things that I don't want to see, but it's like I'm fine with that. So like, I feel like it's justified. Whereas there are other, I don't know, there are other companies where it's like you want to use this, you got to pay us $20 a month or whatever. And it's like with Google, I'm just, and even Facebook, like I said, I don't really care like what Facebook is. They're not getting much information off me because I can, when I go to Facebook, I'm not really posting anything. I'm kind of just like scrolling. And so it's like, but anyways, I get that. I obviously get that like I get that they are making money off me even if I'm not paying them, but that's
Yeah.
fine with me. But I mean, and so in terms like of, um, yeah, so let's get into the digital nomads. So just because it's
Yeah.
like I know you're here for that, and it's I would love to go on about this, but I kind of feel like you're here for that, and if we go on too much, we're just gonna be talking about this stuff the whole time. So well, for one, the last question I'll ask you about this is like how long before you think we're to a point where you mentioned the UBI, and then also just kind of like maybe I don't really want like a regular job anymore. I want to be able to just do the podcast or whatever. How long before we get to a point where like somebody can be living like you or just doing what they want? Like, do you think we're kind of close to that kind of like ideal society where like you don't really even need a regular job? Or obviously there's probably still going to be people doing regular. I feel like there's always going to be people probably there's probably going to be a need for regular jobs, right? I mean, I don't think AI is going to completely
Yeah.
fill everything. So how close do you think we are to like kind of like an ideal?
I don't think we close at all.
Oh
Uh,
no.
I I think I think we are getting closer every day. I think every day more and more people live and make money and live a life that they love. I think it's getting better every day on a global scale. But we're always gonna well, there's two levels to it. We're always gonna need regular job because of if we still want to keep the convenience, we still need to have people who wants to live a boring regular life doing a regular job. Like we can't replace everything with just robots and computers and whatever. Um, we still need people to do the job that we don't want to do. I think that some of us don't want to do be, because I think it's a complicated one because I think what you're asking is like I don't I think you are an exception. I think you and I thinking this way are not the general population. I think most people are love the idea of living a special life, but I think they are very happy and content with their regular life and their regular job. I don't think so many people question things so deeply, to be honest. Um,
Which is weird to me, but yeah.
which is weird, but also I think it's necessary. It's probably good because otherwise the world would be chaos, probably.
Because
Um,
everybody would just be trying to like do what they want or whatever.
yeah, like I think a lot of things would collapse. So I think it's a necessity, but I think it'll take a while because I think it's going to take decades. It's hard to put a number, but like multiple decades because I mean there's plenty of things that can't be done remotely. Like there's some jobs that if people don't want to do them, we need to develop the technology to do them. Um, and we're not there yet. Like you can't have yet someone, I don't know, planting a salad, making it grow, collecting it, cleaning it, transporting it to a store, packaging it, and then selling it in. Like out of like how a salad or an apple goes from being a seed to you eating it. How many human beings are involved in this process? And before we can replace all of them with automation, it's going to take a while. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm just saying a random example of an apple, but to build a house, you know, I don't know, like so many things that we have around us. I'm just looking around, like clothes, like everything. Like we are very far away from replacing everything that we do with machines and robots. So like decades and decades and decades. But I think it's getting better every year. I think I won't be able to put a number on it, but every year more people are living a life that they really want, doing a job they really want than the year before. And I don't think this is gonna stop. I think this trend is only gonna go get better and better. So I
Yeah.
think we are in a good trajectory. Uh, but I also think it's gonna take longer than we think.
Yeah, like you said, me and you kind of I think I guess you could say think outside of the box, or I guess think deeply
Yeah,
about why I wanted to do something. And like when I was working like a regular job, I just wasn't happy. Like there was like this always this existential kind of I gotta like wake up at 6 and go to work for 8 to 10 hours or whatever, and then even
mm,
like on the weekends, it's kind of like, well, I gotta go. I was kind of like bothered, but I just had to go back to that next week. So now I've kind of found a way, even though it's not perfect, where I'm doing like Amazon Flex, where it's kind of like gig work, and it's like
yeah,
where I just go deliver packages. I do it when I want. I try, I can work when I want. I have no boss. And it's like it's just great. I mean, there's downsides to it, like I'm not getting all the benefits of having a regular job and all that, but it's like I'm just so much happier that like I can kind of work when I want and I don't have any
that's great.
boss. But the thing is like, yeah, like 20 years ago, that wasn't possible. So I've heard and I'm kind of hoping that even though we're not going to have an ideal society within the next 5 or 10 years. You're saying it's going to be longer than that. I think, like you said, it's probably going to get better and better. And maybe by 2030, it's just going to be more easy. It's going to be there's going to be easier ways of making money
I
than
think so.
doing the typical grind. But so
Yeah,
yeah, so that's good to look forward to, and hopefully one day I can become a digital nomad like you. So this took way longer to get into this, but I mean I'm so interested in that stuff, and because you're a software guy, like about that stuff. But so yeah, you started in France and you went to Miami, and
yeah.
then how many places have you been to in total?
So I think last time I think I counted. I've been to 27 countries so far, something like that.
Okay, so if you
Yeah.
want like obviously you don't have to take too much time with it, but if you want to say like where you've gone to from France to Miami and then wherever, and you can kind of go
Yeah.
over the whole experience of being a digital nomad. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And and just as an introduction to that is I never traveled when I was younger. My parents are not big like adventurer or travelers. So in in my youth, I've been to France, I've been to Spain because it's an hour drive from my house, so it's very easy. And I've been to Portugal because my dad is Portuguese and my grandparents are Portuguese, so we have a family house and a family there. So I've been to Portugal like 2 or 3 times when I was a kid to see family. But apart from that, I've never traveled much. My parents don't have a passport or stuff like that. So it's very strange that I became a nomad when you think about it. I my first long distance trip was going to Australia when I was 22 years old. So that was I was still a student. I was doing my master degree. I wanted to go abroad to learn English because I knew that in tech and computer science and everything, English was required if you wanted to get a good job. And there's no better way to learn English than to go in an English speaking country. So I went for 6 months to Australia in 2010 to learn English and to spend a semester at the University of Sydney over there. And funny enough, that's at 22 years old, I met a 22 years old English girl who became my wife, and we're still married to this day. um, so that was my first experience, like very far away from home. First time having a passport and stuff like that. So after that, I came back to France. I spent 10 years in France. Moved to Miami at 30 years old. Spent 3 years in Miami. When I was in Miami, I did a little bit of traveling uh, around there. I went to Cuba, Puerto Rico, Panama. Uh, the highlight of the three would be Cuba. It's it's an amazing place. I know it's complicated for American to go there, but I highly recommend going to Cuba. It's the Cuban people are extremely nice. It's it is a strange place, because there is still this uh, dictator, communism, political thing. Everything is very controlled by the government, and you have limited access to communication, and people are careful about what they say. But when you're in the safety of a house with a local Cuban family, um, it's one of the best time that I ever had. Like beautiful, lovely people. It's a beautiful island. The food is incredible. They know how to party, so it's a good time. It's a good place to go. Um, when I started actually my digital nomad journey, so after Miami, we went back to Europe to see family and say goodbye and everything, and we went to Peru, so in South America. Um, Peru was an amazing experience. Spent 7 or 8 weeks there, and it's a beautiful country. I highly recommend it. Um, it's a very diverse country in terms of landscape and biodiversity. The anecdote that I always tell is you can go from the capital city, Lima, which is on the coast on the Pacific Ocean. So you have this huge metropolitan city, like I don't know, 10 million people probably on the coast with the ocean. You can take a 12-hour bus to like central Peru, and you're gonna go up the Andes mountain, up like 5,000 meters high. You're gonna experience altitude sickness. You're gonna see like insane landscape that look like you're on the moon. And then you go on the other side of the mountain, and you're literally on the edge of the Amazon forest. And it's like a jungle, green as far as you can see and everything. And then you take another 12 hours back a little bit south, and you end up in a desert with massive sand dune, and you can go to an oasis in the middle of the desert. Like it's crazy how in just two 12 hours bus trip you can experience so much diversity. I've never seen that anywhere, and that was just really really cool. I really enjoy that. Um, we spend a good amount of time in Asia, especially Southeast Asia. So we Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India. So like Southeast Asia. This is the part of the world that I fell in love with. uh, I I fell in love with Thailand specifically. Um, Thailand is one of these countries that is overhyped, right? A lot of people talk about it. I know I didn't watch it, but I know everyone wants to go to Thailand because of the latest White Lotus season on HBO. Uh, and
Yeah.
it's often a country that's shared and talked about, especially by the digital nomad scene. It's like Bali and Thailand always like the hotspot. And I've got to say that was Thailand's reputation is well deserved, and it's as good as everyone says. Sometimes, sometimes I'm concerned of going to places that everyone talks about because I have so much expectation that I'm going to be disappointed. I was not disappointed, and it was even better than everything I imagined. I absolutely loved it there, and since I went for the first time in 2023, we've been back every year. Like last year, this year, we spent 2 months in January and February in Thailand, and I think we're gonna go back to Thailand every year from now on. Probably, we just love it there. The food in Asia is amazing. The people are very. It's such a different culture, Asia, compared to Europe or the US. I haven't been to every country in Asia, but from what I've seen, uh, it's interesting. People are very, I would say, respectful and polite. Also, much colder compared to like Latin country. Like I'm from the south of France with Portuguese, Spanish blood. Uh, I like to hug people. I would say like a warm person in terms of like how I behave with others and stuff like that. And Asia is much colder. Like there is a distance between people. Um, I think it's probably very hard to build a life in Asia as a Westerner and actually become friends with locals and create a sense of community over there with locals because they keep the distances. Um, However, behind this coldness, they're very respectful and nice and polite and everything. But it's a very different dynamic, and I've never spent more than a few months there to actually, feel like I live there. But I think it'd be very hard to feel that you belong, if you know what I mean, right? When I don't know, I didn't like in Miami, I felt like I belonged after a month living there. Like I feel it was very easy to live there. Where I think that'll be a struggle in Asia. Um, but I love it there. I love the culture, the respect. I also love, which is something interesting that I'm going to mention, the religion. Like I'm not religious really, but I love in Thailand the Buddhism and in some countries the Hinduism, uh, because there are no religions based on. I feel a lot of religions are about trying to convince they're better than the other ones, and a lot of countries are at wars or whatever because it's like, no, I'm right, like I have the right religion and my God is better than yours or whatever. Like there's a lot of people trying to convince other people with religion, when over there religion is more a personal spiritual thing to live a better life. But I don't think they care about convincing the neighbors that Buddha is better than, whatever God they believe in the other country. Which is very interesting for someone like me who's not massively religious, but is sometimes questioning spirituality and stuff like that, and questioning those sort of things. I find it much more approachable and welcoming. So that was interesting. That's something that attracts me there. I went to a few meditation in Buddhist temple with Buddhist monk and stuff like that, and it's very interesting experience that I would recommend. Sitting for 3 hours with a monk telling you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Like just yeah, it's quite cool. It's quite an experience. Um, Asia is also fun when you want to experiment with strange food, eating insects and all that. It is true what you see on TV, eating some big cockroaches or wasps or spiders, scorpions, snakes, any sort of bugs. It's fun. It's part of the. I do like to try local things when I go places. I'm quite adventurous for that, so I always have a blast when I do it. Um, we've been going back to Asia a few times, like here and there. We also spent a good amount of time in Mexico. That was last year. We did 5 months in Mexico. We did 1 month in Costa Rica. Mexico is a beautiful country, and the thing I want to say about Mexico is, and about traveling in general, don't listen to the TV, don't listen to the news. The TV and the traditional media makes us believe that the world is a scary place. They makes us believe that this country is wrong because of drug. This country is wrong because of politics. This one is wrong because of kidnapping, and this one is that, and this one is that. And um, usually we don't pay too much attention to that because we know that most places are fine if you have some common sense, and shit can happen, but shit can happen everywhere. Like it's not just because you cross a border that suddenly it's like the end of the world. Um, but somehow, before going to Mexico, we did some research and we got scared. And before going, we were concerned and we were like, if we don't feel safe, if we don't like it, we cut it short and we fly back to Asia because we are safe over there. So we went with this mindset of like, we got to be careful. And luckily, this idea and this impression went away quickly because Mexican people are awesome. Some of the nicest people we met, extremely polite and kind and smiley and warm. Um, and we had we spent like 4.5 or 5 months. Yeah, January to May, 5 months in Mexico. We went from the East Coast to the West Coast, so Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. We did like 17 or 18 stops in 5 months. And what an incredible country. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Nothing happened to us. We we left with everything that we had going in. Uh, no bad experience. We didn't felt threatened once or harassed once or worried once. And obviously you use common sense like you do everywhere, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It can happen, but like everywhere else. Um, yeah, incredible country. So diverse in terms of same landscape. If you go to Yucatan, it's one thing, and then in the middle you have like the desert, and then you have mountains and uh, obviously the coast on each side, like Atlantic Pacific coast, Caribbean vibe, different vibe on the other side. Amazing country. I absolutely loved it. I'm very excited to go back at some point. I don't have plan, but I want to go back because I had a blast over there. We also went to Costa Rica, which I had a good time, but it's also the most overrated country that I've been to. Um, Costa Rica is very often mentioned by digital nomad as a place to go, and I I would not recommend it as a digital nomad. uh, I think it's a beautiful country to vacation. Go there for like 10 days. Go to see the sloth. Go to see the toucan. Go to see the rainforest. Go to see like the Caribbean vibe and all that. Um, but in terms of like living there as a nomad for like a longer period of time, I didn't think it was that great. It's expensive. It's like as expensive as some countries in Europe or part of the US. The food wasn't that great. The infrastructure wasn't that great, like in terms of just taking public transportation from A to B, pain in the ass. You can't do anything online. You can't book anything online. You have to show up at a random bus station in a corner and hope a bus is going to turn up. um, Not practical at all. Yeah, I good for vacation. Spend your money, like hire a car, hire a private driver, stay in good accommodation, nice restaurant, have a blast, splash it. But yeah, for 10 days. But if you stay like a month or two, I wouldn't do that again. I would not go back with this way, which was interesting because I had a lot of expectation and hope. Like my wife went thinking like, let's see if we like it. So maybe we buy a house over there. Not that we can afford it, but she had this idea in her head, and she was like, no, we're not buying a house over there. Not gonna happen. So yeah, you never know. Like go to a place before you make any plan because it might not end up as you like it, you know. Yeah, and this year we went back to Asia, as I said earlier this year. But the novelty of this year, and it's so funny, is because obviously I'm from France, she's from England, but we actually never explored much of Europe. And I'm going to explain why. But so this year we are actually spending more time in Europe. Also because my wife wants to be closer to her family, because one of the a lot of people think about this dreamy lifestyle as, you know, you get to be on the beach and this and that, but also we are far away from family and friends a lot of the time. So she wants to spend more time with her family. So we are spending more time in Europe. So it's easier to fly back and forth and see her parents for a week or so here and there. So Germany at the moment, and then on Sunday, as this time of recording, on June 1st, I'm going to Serbia. And this summer, we're going to be visiting Serbia, Montenegro, and Bosnia Herzegovina. So three countries that I've never been to. It's going to be my, I think, 30th country by the end of summer. And it's a part of the world that I don't know much about. So it'll be quite interesting. I think it's going to be very different than anything I'm familiar with in terms of culture and background and history and food and everything. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, the world is full of beautiful things, and I guess to make this conversation a little bit more useful for people listening also is traveling doesn't have to be expensive. A lot of people think that we are rich or we live from our parents' bank account. A few people told us that. For us, it's cheaper to travel than to live somewhere. It's cheaper to travel than to live in France or in the UK or in the US. Like if you add up rent, uh, any tax that you have to pay when you live somewhere, insurance, utilities, right? All the stuff that you have to pay when you have a house, uh, car, car insurance, health insurance, and food and everything else that goes along with living somewhere. For us, it's cheaper to live in Thailand or in Mexico or somewhere else than to actually have a property that we buy or rent and live a normal life somewhere in a country that we would like to live. So that's also why we travel, is because we are in a stage where we are growing our businesses. We are not making as much money as we would if we would have a regular job compared to the experience that we have and stuff like that. So traveling the world is actually a way for us to spend less money than if we were living somewhere normal, which I think a lot of people don't think about that. um,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of funny. Like it's and that's just mainly because the areas that you're going to are cheaper.
yeah, yeah.
What
We're
if
just optimizing.
have you ever thought about just like staying in a place because like you just like you said you like Thailand so much. Have you ever thought about just what if we just stayed in Thailand?
Yes, I actually thought about that a lot this year because after going back 2 or 3 times, I was like, I really like Thailand. I would like to stay there. Um, it's not always easy because of visa. Most countries are happy to welcome you for 30, 60, 90 days, like no question asked. But as soon as you want to stay longer than 90 days, it can become more complicated based on the country that you pick. Thailand has a 5 years visa that is fairly easy to get. You just need to prove that you have some money on the bank account and not crazy amount of money, like something accessible to a lot of people, and that you make money online. Um, so it is something that I would consider. I think eventually, but yeah, like just to give an example, I'm assuming you have an American audience mainly. When we lived in Miami, so Miami is not the cheapest place, obviously, to live in the US, but our rent was $1,800. In grocery, we probably spend, I don't know, anywhere between five, six, $700 a month, I would say. We didn't have a car, so that was thing that's fine. But health insurance, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars it was a month. Like I'm pretty sure our expenses in Miami for a couple was anywhere between 3,500 a month, probably something like that. That's how much it costs for us to live in Miami. In Asia, for the both of us, we tend to spend $2,000 a month. And with $2,000 a month, we don't cook. We eat out every single day. We have people cleaning our apartment. We have people doing our laundry. Um, we don't drive anywhere. We can just Uber or take any public transportation wherever we go. Uh, I'm not going to say that we live like kings, but we have a much better lifestyle than we would have living a regular life in a country that we are familiar with. Um, because yeah, everything is just cheaper. Like you can have a really nice meal for $1 in Thailand. Um, so it doesn't have to cost much. So yeah, it is something that when people think about traveling, they think about vacation, right? And usually when you go on vacation, you splash it out. It's 150 a night for the hotel room. It's 20, $30 for a meal. It's that much for a pina colada and a mojito and and all that. But when you live a digital nomad life, you're not a tourist. You live a regular life. You spend most of your time working. You watch TV. You go for a walk. You live a regular life, but you live it abroad, and you move around more than regular people. But what you do is not you're not in vacation mode 24/7 like you are when you're a tourist for 10 days. So you don't have so much expenses that you have when you're on vacation somewhere and you have to see everything because you might never come back to this place. So it's not the lavish lifestyle that people imagine, and yeah, it can be cheaper to travel this way.
Yeah, and where do you guys usually stay? Is it like an Airbnb type situation, or
Yeah, so I would say 75% of the time Airbnb, yeah. Um, Sometimes hotels, but Airbnb are just more practical because usually like you get a kitchen and a fridge and stuff like that, so you can get your own things a bit and feel at home. When a hotel room can be a little bit uh, can feel claustrophobic or whatever. Also because we both work from home online, having like a table or desk to work, so you don't have to go to Starbucks every time is nicer in an apartment. But yeah, but also just to again to show that traveling can be cheap or even free. Right now, I'm in Germany in someone's house that I am looking after. The owner of this house is away for a month. They have pets, so I found this house listed in a house and pet sitting platform online, and I am living here in exchange of. So I'm not paying any rent. I'm staying here for free, and in exchange, I am feeding the rabbits and some geckos. So yeah, I'm doing an exchange of services basically. So I'm not paying rent for an entire month here. So there are many ways to travel and save money like that if you
did you
get
find that
creative a
like
bit.
online or something, like on like an app
Yeah,
or something?
it's a platform called Trusted House Sitter, and it's very similar looking to Airbnb. You search for a destination and dates, and you have a list of houses and accommodation, and it's going to tell you you can go to Denver, Colorado to look after a house and a cat for 4 days. They tell you a little bit about the house, they tell you a little bit about the pets, and you apply for to stay there. You tell them a little bit about you. You jump on the Zoom call, and if it's a fit, they accept your application, and you get to stay there.
Yeah, what's funny is I've had one. I just like just realized this. I think I might have realized it before when I asked you to come on, but I've had one other digital nomad come on, and I think he was also from. I'm pretty sure he was also from France.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like just I remember it was like him, and he had like a bird that he like brought with him, and he also had like
okay.
his own like company. Um, you know, so what does your wife do?
So she's also working for herself. She has two hats. What pays the bills is she's a content creator. She creates content for other businesses and individuals. Um, so yeah, she's a content creator for other individuals. That's what is bringing the money. And what she would like to be doing more, but at the moment is not making enough money. But she has a YouTube channel. She's been documenting our travel since we've been traveling. But this is not making enough money. It takes a while to grow a YouTube channel to actually have sponsors and make money to live in. So while when this will pick up, I think she will do exclusively that. But yeah, so for now she's doing both. But yeah, we are both completely online and location independent in terms of what we do.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that if you do any of that type of content creation. So are you guys both in the videos, or is she kind of just like filming stuff, or is it kind of like a vlog travel channel
Yeah,
type thing?
it's vlogs. Yeah, she vlogs everywhere we go. um, I am a little bit in videos, but less because it's not my jam. um, so it's more it is her channel. It's not our channel. But yeah, it's funny just also to talk, maybe a little bit more about stuff that we discussed at the beginning and about living a life true to yourself and all that. She's been interested by YouTube since 2011, 2012, when we lived in Paris. So back then, YouTube was much smaller, less. I don't think being a YouTuber was a thing back then. Um, and she was interested by that. And I think she always told me that she filmed the video back then, and she had 400 or 500 views overnight, and she kind of freaked out and deleted everything because she didn't know what was going on. um, she tried again in 2018 after we moved to Miami.
Like she
The,
didn't like that she got like 400 or 500 views, or
yeah, she just freaked out. She was like,
like
"What
it
the
was
hell is
almost
going
like
on?"
too much kind of
Overwhelming. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And in 2018, she started again when we moved to Miami. And what happened is that some friends made fun of her. Like, oh, you're doing video, it's so cringe, it's so awkward. What the fuck are you doing this? It's so boring, blah, 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 blah. And someone brought that up
So
when we were
dumb.
having like a big friend dinner with like 10 or 15 people. And she felt very uncomfortable and she felt shamed and all that. And now she's much better, but she had a lot of like, I would say, self-confidence, issues and stuff like that back at this time. She was less confident about what she was doing. So she shut it down. She didn't do it again for 2 years because she was like, yeah, I don't want people to laugh at me, right? Basically.
So that's
Um,
so dumb that people would do that. You know what I mean? It's like, why do they think it's dumb? It's stupid.
yeah. And well, again, it's because it's doing something different. It's doing something that's, in 2017, 2018, there was no such a thing as a creator economy yet. Like this is more like since 2020 that it's becoming more and more normal to make money on YouTube. But I think it was still, especially in the south of France, again, like we're not talking about being in Paris or in London with a lot of people that are a bit more open-minded. um, we are talking about village mindset, small town mindset, more closed-minded, narrow-minded people that are very, regular life. They know what they do in their life and they don't know anything else and stuff like that. So yeah, again, it's just another part of the conditioning that we live in, I think. And so people made fun of her, so she gave up for 2 years. And moving to Miami, at the beginning, you asked me like if I liked Miami, what I thought about the difference between France and Miami. And something that I love about the US, and I'm going to talk about Miami because that's what I know, but I'm sure it's the case in most of the US, is that the people that we met there, the Americans that we met, were much more supportive and open-minded to doing something different. And like we met people that are very confidently in 2019 tell you like, yeah, I'm a TikToker. Like that's what I am, like, and that boosted her confidence because suddenly she was surrounded by people making money and living unapologetically uh, a life that they loved. And that was awesome for her and also for me because it was like, well, if those people are doing it, it's going to give me the confidence to do it as well because they're just regular people. I can relate to them.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where she picked up her channel again in 2020. And since then, she's been doing it. Um, but yeah, that's something that I loved about our time in Miami is how supportive people were compared to Europe. And I'm going to give a basic example, besides this YouTube one that I already shared. I'd say that if tomorrow in France, I'm going to give you an example. In Miami, we started we started a dog photography business. So my wife, she loves to take photographs. One day, she was getting into photography over there. We had a dog at the house. She took pictures of the dog. The pictures were awesome. And the owner of the dog wanted to pay for the pictures. And we were like, no, it's fine. Just take the pictures. It's just fun. So we thought about it and we started a dog photography business. It was called Portraits of Poochies. And we were doing nice, beautiful portraits of dogs in the studio photography. When we told that to people in Europe, people were like, why? This is dumb. Why would people pay for pictures of the dog? Why would you do that? You can't make money for that. Get a job, get a life, sort yourself out. In the US, this is freaking amazing. When can I come? Like, just polar opposite mindsets and reactions.
So weird.
And it's so fascinating. Um, and that explains a lot. I don't want again to get into like complicated stuff. Like, that explains why Europe hasn't seen any massive innovation, especially in the tech industry, for the past I don't know how many decades, and why every single big business in the world now is American. Is because there is a culture for innovation on one side, and on the other side, there is a culture for regulation and and restriction and stopping people from being brave and trying new things. And you can see the
Yeah.
impact on that on a global scale as well. It's fascinating to think about it.
That's so weird. Like I wonder if it's because you guys are kind of like older, maybe like older countries, and like the status quo, I guess, for like
I think so.
centuries or whatever has just been like get like a regular job or something. And like in
Yeah,
America, we're younger and like obviously like Hollywood's here. And I think it almost seems like don't get me wrong, I think that the YouTube thing can be there is kind of or TikTok or Instagram can there is like a cringe element to it. And I think that like I might like because I do it, but it's like I haven't really had too many people saying much about it, but I'm not really in the videos like for
right.
the most part. Besides like this one, I do other stuff too where like I'm kind of more like filming. Um, but like for I haven't really gotten like I don't think like I don't think I get like enough viewers to get too much like hate or anything. But like
Yeah,
I haven't really gotten too much backlash. But part of the reason why I don't do it, I think, is because you there is also people here obviously who will like make fun of you like why are you doing that, that's stupid or whatever. But I think at the same time, there's so many people here who like I think kind of do want to become like famous or whatever in some
yeah,
way. And I mean I think the ideal goal for me and for a lot of people, as silly or as cringe as it sounds, like would be to like make it on YouTube or TikTok. I mean, it just seems like fun. Like it seems like
yeah,
you're just creating content and making money off of it. And I've been able to make some money off of it. It's not enough, but I think that if you and I'm always trying to come up with like a good idea for content or like and I think that it all comes down to like the idea. If you have a good idea, I think I saw like Casey. I don't know. Do you know who like Casey Neistat is?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I saw him. And he's always like pushing motivational videos or whatever.
yeah,
And he says like all you need is a camera, like and a good idea or whatever. And it's like true. It's like if you have
yeah,
a camera, literally an iPhone, and a good idea, and you actually put that good idea into you don't need a ton of money to do it. Just do like if you
yeah,
do crazy enough stuff, it'll get views.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I'm not like ballsy enough to actually do crazy stuff, so I don't get like a ton of views. And recently, before that's the thing is before all this AI stuff, I was kind of doing everything myself as you had to. But now with all this
yeah,
AI, it's like I'll do like many documentaries where I'll do not a documentary, but like a little YouTube video, and I'll have like just the information and the pictures or whatever. So I think that like that's becoming more and more. That's obviously becoming more and more accessible to people. Where like someone who doesn't necessarily want to be in front of the camera can now create these videos with AI,
yeah,
and like it kind of comes off as like cheap or like cheating or whatever, but it's also going to give a lot of people who are too afraid to be in front of a camera like it's giving people more stuff to work with to create stuff that they wouldn't be
yeah,
able to before. And I'm kind of wondering where that's going to go because if everybody has if now anybody's basically probably going to be able to make a video with AI.
yeah,
I don't know. Is everybody going to be doing it? I don't know. You know what I mean? And then you also have like the AI haters, where if you do use AI, they like complain about it or whatever. But I mean, I think that ideally I'd want to be live. I think my ideal. thing to be doing would be doing what you're doing and doing like what your wife is doing with the content creation. Like just
Yeah.
traveling around, taking videos. I don't like necessarily think that I really want to be like filming myself in the videos.
Yeah.
I have a hard time like I can talk to you right now and I'm totally fine. But if it's just me talking to the camera, I can't get
Same.
myself to do that. You know what I mean?
Same.
Like
I get it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I wish I could, but I just kind of feel like it's weird and I don't have like enough to say like by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me is like maybe I should just start doing that, like just start. But you know, you have I don't know if you know like who like Hassan Piker is or those types of
No.
people. He's like a political guy where like he'll just watch videos on YouTube and then he'll like react to them and he'll
Oh yeah.
for like
Yeah.
long periods of time. But it's like so you can do that where like I couldn't do it where I'm just talking to the camera, but you can do it where like
Yeah.
you're watching other people's videos and like talking about
Yeah.
the politics and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I think that it's becoming more and more a reality for people, like you said in 2020 or so. I think people were actually
Yeah.
going from it kind of becoming like pretty normal to do. Um, yeah. So, in terms of the places you've been, oh yeah, like how do you where do you decide to go next? Like, so now you're in where in Germany are you?
So I am in North Germany in a random small town, not near any famous city, because of this house sitting. So it's interesting because yeah, when you do things like that, you tend to get away from the classic tourist destination. Um, but yeah, next is gonna be like I said, Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, different new countries.
I mean, what would even like with Germany? It's a I don't know. Germany is like one of those places I don't really know. Like I know about Germany, but like I don't really know what the hotspots would be. Like what's
Yeah,
the I guess is the most famous city like Munich or something or
yeah, it'll be Munich and Berlin, the
okay
two
Berlin, yeah.
the two big cities. Yeah, and then you have places like Hamburg, Frankfurt, Cologne, stuff like that, or like slightly smaller city, like top three, four, five, six city in the country in terms of population.
Is
Um,
it pretty there? Like for some reason I picture it as being I'm trying to think of what I picture it being like, but like I don't know
so
what I
it's actually
picture really, you
no, no,
know?
no. It's actually very funny you asking me that because it's very true, and I don't think Germany is on anyone's bucket list. Like when you think about traveling in Europe, I don't think many people put Germany in the top five. They're gonna say like, I want to go to France, I want to go to England, I want to go to Italy, Greece, Spain. Uh, I think those are the countries that are probably coming back the most. But I don't think many people dream to go to Germany or think about going to Germany. And it's true for European people as well. It's not a must see destination or whatever. We ended up in Germany because I was browsing on this house sitter platform and I saw it and I was like, why not try in Germany? Let's give it a shot. You never know. And it's actually really nice. We had we've been here for 6, 7 weeks, and it's a beautiful country. It's very green, like very, very, very green. Uh, in the countryside, but also in the cities. All the cities have a lot of open park, like a lot of green space everywhere in the city center, which makes it just very enjoyable because you don't feel oppressed by, like massive skyscrapers and stuff like that. It's quite open. And you have access to nature and to like a small lake or whatever very easily, which is really nice. Uh, a lot of people cycle here. There's literally like as many uh, cyclists as there are people driving. So when you walk in the street, you need to be very careful of when you cross to where you're going. But it's really cool because again, I think it brings, well, less pollution and stuff like that, which makes everything a bit nicer. Uh, yeah, I would highly recommend Germany. I never dreamed about coming here, and I would come back to see more of the country, to be honest. It's a very, very pleasant surprise for me.
Yeah, and so how do you decide where you're going next?
Um, we honestly, we just kind of go with the flow based on whatever desire we have. Like the truth is that like we can't afford to live in some countries, right? Like we would love to go to Japan. That's like top countries on my wife's list, but spending 2 months in Japan would be just crazy because just Airbnb for a month would be probably 4 or 5 thousand, which we can't afford at the moment. Uh, so we need to be picky in terms of like, okay, can we afford to live there? Because obviously, when you live through Airbnbs, especially in Europe, it's more expensive than like a normal rental. Um, so cost is obviously a big factor. Um, but otherwise, it's just we both like hot countries. We don't like cold, so we tend to chase summers and we chase the sun and summer as much as possible. So this is something that we look a lot when we do our planning. Can we avoid rainy season? Can we avoid winter? Can we afford to live there? Um, we like to be by the water. Um, we like cultural countries where we can actually get a sense of the local culture and get a sense of yeah what's local. Uh, there is also a reality that we need to pick countries with good internet. We need to work online. We our income relies on being connected, so it is something that I spend time researching before we go anywhere. And it's fine most of the time, but sometimes when we go to Thailand or Indonesia, there are some islands that we would like to go to that we don't because in some island you might not be able to be connected, right? to be online and to deliver the work in time. So there are little things like that that we need to take into account. But yeah, I've got to say that I'm very privileged and grateful to have the freedom to just take a map and pick a country, and I can probably go there if I want to.
Yeah, and why did you choose like Serbia next and those places?
Uh, Two reasons. Um, One reason is that, like I said, we wanted to spend more time in Europe. Um, and so it's one of the reasons is sort of political, um, because my wife is English and Brexit happened a few years ago, so England is not part of Europe anymore. And that means that my wife doesn't have a European passport anymore, so she's limited in how long she can spend in EU countries. So we want to be in Europe, but she's limited in how long she can spend in EU countries. So we had to find some countries in Europe, not in the EU. And there's a bunch there. There's Albania, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and another one that I forget, Kosovo. Those like 6 countries are not in the EU yet. So that's a way for us to be close to Europe and close to family and stuff like that without being in the EU. So that's a visa related decision, to be honest. We have to balance our time in the EU. And so that's one reason. And the second reason is that if you open Instagram or Google Images and you look at Montenegro and Serbia, it looks stunning. It looks absolutely incredible. The nature, the cities, and also the nature over there. A lot of mountains and lakes looks stunning. So it's high
In
on the bucket
Serbia?
list. Yeah, Serbia and Montenegro.
For some reason, I wouldn't think that Serbia would be like a really pretty place. Like I kind of picture it as being kind of like a Russian type.
It's very pretty. The capital city, Belgrade, I'm not sure how you say it. It's really beautiful. The architecture looks stunning. Like when you see some pictures, I think if you don't know, you could assume you're in Paris in some of the design and architecture in the city. And then yeah, there's a lot of mountains and lakes and national parks. which I'm quite excited about.
And then what's Montenegro? Is that just like another country? Is that an area in Serbia?
Yeah, no, it's another country. All those countries are part of the ex-USSR and ex-Yugoslavia. So all those countries in the 90s was just Yugoslavia, and then they split up, I don't know when in the 90s, and they became independent countries. So yeah, it's all next to each other. It's basically like above Greece, like just above Greece, you have North Macedonia, Montenegro, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Kosovo. It's like all this block just above Greece that you have there. It's like 5 countries together.
Okay, and then where's the best place you've been and the worst place? And it sounds like the best place was Thailand, right?
Uh, Thailand and Mexico would be a tie. If I have to pick one, I'll pick Thailand. Yes, but I would put them together if I could on a top spot. Let's put it this way: there are places that I've been to that I loved, but I wouldn't want to live there. You know, when Thailand and Mexico, I could move there tomorrow, and cool, I'll be more than happy. So in this sense, yeah, Thailand and Mexico would be my favorites. Um, my least favorite place would be India. Uh,
India.
yeah, and I know I'm gonna get some hate from that. India is one of those countries that I think you love or you hate, and I don't think you can be anywhere in the middle. Um, and I didn't like it. Um, well, it's funny. Why? Was it when I look at the photographs of our 2 months in India, it's beautiful. Like some of the most beautiful places I've seen. The photographs, I will, if one day I have a house, I will probably frame a bunch of India photographs. Beautiful. But when I think actually about my time there and about the day-to-day life of being there for 7 weeks or whatever it was, it gives me goosebumps and not good ones to remember it.
Why is that?
um, oh, I don't like to say it, but also I've got to be honest. And what I'm gonna say is my personal experience, right? I'm not making a thing. I had a very hard time with Indian people. I'm gonna be honest, like over there. And I'm gonna explain. When we were in the street anywhere, so we were in the north of India. We went around Delhi, like the capital city, New Delhi. We went to Agra, Taj Mahal, Jaipur, Jodhpur, and in the mountains. So we only saw like a tiny a fraction of the massive country that India is. So northern India. Um, people were just making us feel very uncomfortable all the time. And I don't feel uncomfortable easily. Like I've seen stuff like I'm okay to be the only white people somewhere or to be asked stuff or to be looked at, whatever. But there it was a whole different level. Uh, like you get into the underground or a bus or public transport, and you literally have 100 set of eyes staring at you, but it's next level staring, like literally like looking through you like you're naked. And looking at my wife even more. I mean, she's blonde and blue eyes and she's got curves, so that probably didn't help. uh, and like they were looking at her like she was a piece of meat, honestly, uh, to the point that it was strange as hell, honestly. And sometimes I got upset at it, like saying like, "Hey, guy, like, are you okay? Like, you, I don't know, like, why are you staring so much at me? Like, I got something on my face, or and it's just normal over there to just stare at people. Um, we couldn't visit anything without being harassed by locals to take pictures with us. Like we literally had people coming non-stop to take photographs with us. But like it's funny the first time, it's funny the second time, like, oh yeah, I'm Brad Pitt, you want to take a picture with me? Woo-hoo. But then when it's non-stop all day long, every time you are trying to just enjoy your visit of the Taj Mahal or whatever you are going to see, and you literally cannot step, you you cannot put one foot in front of each other when without having someone coming and it's like, hey, can I take a picture of you? Or literally like following you around, taking pictures of you and leaving. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is just strange as hell.
Why do
Um,
you think that is? Just because you're
um,
white?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I mean, what's
yeah.
the big like? I don't see like what's the big deal to them that you're white? You know?
I don't know, but so we had a similar experience in Indonesia in in a couple of places that we went to. But there, I understood it. Like we went to a tiny, 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 tiny village in a small corner of an island in Indonesia, and our guide told us this group of kids coming, they've never seen any white people before, and this bunch of like 10, 12 years old came at us and wanted to take pictures with us and touch us because they've never seen white people before. And I was like, okay, like I get that. Like, I guess if you've never seen real life, and I don't know, it's different, right? Whatever. So that was fine, and they were nice, and there was a bunch of kids, and we took a few pictures, but like literally 5 pictures, and like a group picture, and that was it. Like, it was just funny. But then, like I said, when you're visiting one of the most visited building in the world, Taj Mahal, when there is like I don't know how many million of white people visiting it every year, like I don't understand why in this situation. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say, do like not like a lot of white people go there or something, but they
I
do, right?
mean, yeah, yeah. Like I don't know, half of the people visiting Taj Mahal when we went were white. Like it's not, we were not the only ones. Yeah,
Maybe
I
they
don't know.
thought you guys were like celebrities or something.
I mean,
That's
I don't think so. No, like it's just, I don't know. I don't know why, but it it was crazy. Also, it's just like it's dirty. It is crazy. Like we saw like everything is extreme in India, and honestly, I think everyone should go to just experience it because it's absolutely insane. There's nothing like it. Like I've never, to all the countries that I've been to that are different. India is a miles away from anything else in terms of being different. It will push every single buttons on you. It will trigger every single sense that you have and will challenge you in any ways. The extreme poverty and the extreme like richness of other people and how this entire ecosystem interact with each other and also like it's obviously the most populated country in the world, right? So like I think 1.6 billion people now, something like that. I know they overtook China, and it's crazy in Delhi. Like so many people driving at the same time and going there at the same time, and they don't like I got like they use a lot of like tuk-tuk and stuff like that. Like I got drove into banged by tuk-tuk just because I was in the way and they won't stop. Like they just don't care. It's like you're on my way, you better move or I'm gonna drive over you. Like um it's very it's the most different country that I've seen. And I think it's a love-hate relationship and I ended up in the hate side of the spectrum. um which
were you
is a
close
shame
to like
also because it's beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. The food is out of this world, incredible. But the people made me feel so uncomfortable that I don't want to go back there.
were you close to like what's that mountain called that people like hike up like it's kind of like a spiritual like Mecca type place in
Yeah,
India.
yes, yeah. So yeah, we went to Rishikesh in the at the base of the Himalayan mountains in the north, and from there there is like a pilgrimage that you can go somewhere. Um, yeah, this place is very Rishikesh is very spiritual. It's full of like yogis and meditation centers, and Hinduism is even more present than in other places. Um, But same is but also like when you walk in the street, it's carnage. Like it's just crazy people walking and cycling and driving everywhere and not caring about anything, and it's noisy and it's smelly and it's it's crazy.
Yeah. I've had, I think, two Indians on, and like, I mean, it's also really sad to say, but I just kind of got a vibe that they were like kind of like bullshitting me or whatever. And it's like one
Mm,
guy came on as like a YouTube kind of marketer. I don't even really, I guess it would be like, yeah, a YouTube marketer or something. And I think they do a lot of that kind of stuff there where like, but then I was like, what? He said he had like one of the biggest companies in India or whatever doing YouTube marketing.
yeah.
But then it was like, what's the website? And he's like, oh, like we don't have like a website. And I was like, well, why not? And it's like they supposedly intentionally kind of um I don't know, for some reason I didn't know, like they're supposedly
Sounds shady.
it's yeah, that's the thing, is it sounded shady. And like all, I mean, he gave me like okay advice, but it kind of, I think it was just kind of like generic advice type thing for
Yeah.
YouTube marketing. And I just kind of got a vibe that he wasn't really, yeah, like telling me the full truth. But yeah, well, I mean, what's some of the best, if I had to say like a specific kind of location to go to in terms of not only like a city or a country, but like a, what's the like the coolest thing you've seen? And then also, did have you had any kind of like sketchy, besides I guess the Indian situation? Have you had any kind of sketchy, almost kind of like where you almost got robbed type situations, or areas where like you may have thought you may get robbed or something?
No, so luckily we never had any bad experience happening to us. I think we are very aware of what we do and where we are. And I think as soon as we smell one person something, we know, we look at each other and we just walk away. So we never went too far to be in any situation where we felt threatened or anything. I think the most the scariest situation we ever been to, and to this day, I I still don't know what the hell that was. Um, in 2016, so that was even not, it's not even part of the digital nomad journey. In 2016, we went to Indonesia for our honeymoon for 3 weeks. We
For
planned
what? You went to
for our
Indonesia for,
honeymoon.
oh, for your honeymoon? Okay.
Yeah, so we went there for 3 weeks. We planned 90% of the trip, and we had a couple of stops that we didn't plan because we couldn't find what we wanted online. So we thought, okay, we will figure it out. And we we took a ferry from Bali to Java, the main island, um, and we wanted to go climb a volcano um, from there. And we got at we arrived from the ferry. We got out and we were like, okay, we're gonna find a taxi and we're gonna get to an accommodation and we're gonna book something through an agency or a guide or whatever, because usually you can find local guide very easily. And we had those two guys just telling us, yeah, yeah, we can take you to the volcano, no problem, no problem. We jumped in the back of the pickup truck. We drove for an hour to the base of the volcano, to this tiny village. And usually this volcano, you hike at night. So you start at midnight and you get there for like 2 or 3 a.m. and you watch the sunrise from the top and stuff like that. So we got there in the evening, and during the whole evening, we had a sense that something was strange because he basically dropped us in a random house with a lot of people, what seems to be just like, I don't know, family or friends or whatever. They didn't speak much English, so we didn't know what was going on. They were just like, yeah, 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 we'll take you to the volcano at midnight, whatever, whatever. And the whole evening, they were like getting drugged, smoking, acting I don't know, weird while we were in the room, and we were like, this is strange. Like at any time, I feel someone is gonna come in the room and just take everything that we have or whatever. I don't know. So before it got dark, like on evening, we had a walk. We went to center of the town, and we found an internet coffee, which was three tables on the floor with laptops that were probably from 1995, like the oldest laptop that I've ever seen in my life. Um, and somehow, and the slowest internet ever. And somehow we managed to get online and find the phone number of a local guide. And we told him, like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. We are at this place. Can you come pick us up at midnight so we can go on this hike? We'll meet you at this place. And the guy was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Send the payment and everything. It was like a legit tour company, so we were okay. Uh, we sent the payment, and the guy was like, okay, I'll be at midnight at this intersection. Just make sure you're there, and we'll go from there. And basically, we went back to the house, and we didn't sleep. We literally stayed with like our bags next to each other, listening to this bunch of people outside. Like I said, getting drunk and getting high on I don't know what, and feeling like at any time one of them could just knock at the door and do something. And at midnight, when they were like finally asleep, we literally left with our bags, escaped, and went to meet this tour guide. We didn't pay anything. We left everything open as it was. Like we didn't say goodbye to anyone. We just left and disappeared. Like I think we could have got murdered on this night. No one would have ever known. Like when you think about it.
So they brought you just kind of just like a random kind of house
Yeah, and
with a bunch of random people, and then we're gonna take you
yeah,
up to the volcano at midnight.
yeah, and I think it was like here, like there's two white tourists. We can make some money out of them, so we're gonna take them there, and whatever. I don't know. I don't think anything would have happened. I think we were like easy target to make some cash for them, but the whole thing was so shady that we like, okay, let's not do that again. Let's not just jump in a random pickup truck anymore in the middle of
Yeah,
Indonesia.
it seems like you got to be kind of like
Yeah,
cautious because I think like even though I want to like travel a lot, it's like the worst thing that I'm kind of like scared of is to go to like a kind of like a sketchy country and then get like thrown in jail or something, or just to have something happen to you. But it's like I live kind of close to Mexico and I've been to Baja before, and I know that like what you
yeah,
were saying is like most of it's better than people give it credit for. But I mean,
yeah.
Tijuana. I don't know if you were ever in Tijuana,
No.
but no. But like, did you go to Baja at all, or just mainland Mexico?
No, no, we went to Puerto Vallarta on this side, but we didn't go to Baja.
Okay, yeah. I went down to. I think I've been down to Tijuana a couple times, and I mean, it's
Mm,
really just sad. It's like really just poverty stricken. It's like as soon as you go
yeah,
from San Diego to Baja, it's just like you literally just see like shacks or whatever, just
yeah,
almost as we would have houses or whatever. And I went down there a couple times, and I mean, it's pretty. Thinking back on it, it was pretty sketchy. Like it was fun, but at the same time, like if something happened to you, it's like I wouldn't want to get thrown in like a jail down there or something. And
no, yeah,
we went to like a bar. I think we went to like a couple like strip clubs too that were like kind of sketchy. And we went to a bar and we were drinking, and then we were all going to leave, and somebody was like, "Oh, don't take that beer with you. You can't. That's like one thing you can't do here is drink on the
mm.
street." So I set the beer down, and when we went outside, they had like arrested some guy who had a beer in his hand, like right in front of us.
Oh,
So I
wow,
probably would have just been arrested, and who knows?
wow, yeah,
Because they'll do the type of thing I've heard, like they'll do the type of thing where like they'll just the cops or whatever will like pick you up and
yeah,
throw you in
they want the
jail, and like
bribe,
yeah, exactly, unless you like pay them
yeah,
off. And I don't think I had
yeah.
like a whole lot of money, so um, but what's the best location you've been to in terms of specific kind of I don't know what you'd call that like um most beautiful not only city but like just place
Yeah. Um,
destination or whatever.
the first thing that came to my mind when you asked me this question, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just gonna let my brain go where it was. Is Halong Bay and Lan Ha Bay in Vietnam. Uh, that was incredible. So it's on when you go to Hanoi, which is like the capital city in sort of like North Vietnam, on whatever sea there is there. You have this rock formation. So you you have this massive bay full of just massive blobs of rocks just poking out of the ocean. But like if you're higher up, it's like an I don't know, like an infinite amount of just mountains poking out of the ocean. And there's plenty of uh, fishermen villages, like floating villages in the middle of them. And you can do like a boat trip and navigate through them and go kayaking or paddleboarding and see stuff like that. And I travel with a drone. So with a drone, I always get like a very cool perspective on things, and flying the drone there made us cry. Just
Whoa.
seeing the view on the screen when I took off and I went up and we saw like all this, like I said, like mountains poking out of the water with like fishing villages in the middle, float boats and everything. We're like, whoa! That was one of these like holy shit moment. Like I can't believe I'm seeing that. Yeah, that's the first one coming up. Uh, it's very unique.
What kind of drone do you have? 'Cause I have a drone too.
Okay, I've got a DJI Mavic Air 2. So I've
That's
got
what
it
I
for
have.
like a few years now. I got it in like 2019, 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got, and the DJI Mavic Air 2S, and I had like the Mini, and I was pretty
Mm,
happy with the Mini, but then at some point I like upgraded to the Air 2S, which I thought it would be better, and I'm almost like more into the Mini because it's like I don't know,
yeah.
it's smaller and it's easier to use, and I've had like recent problems with the Air 2S where like I don't know if it's because of the wind or what, but it's like the camera's
Mm.
kind of getting shaky and stuff. But yeah, I've been flying drones for a while. I mean, do you think that like you like for the places that you go to, if you were just to go to the places and kind of like do what your wife is doing and just film all these beautiful places, like do you think you could make enough money doing that? I mean, it sounds like she's not making enough money doing that, but it almost seems like
I
if you went to enough beautiful places and just filmed it, even if you're not in the video, if you're just filming it or whatever, or no, do you
um
think it takes more than
I
just doing the
th
traveling?
I think it takes more than just. I don't think the traveling itself can make it. I think you need to be very strategic about um how you do your video and everything. Like, um, my wife does video for herself first. Like she documents her travel for herself, and she does the videos the way she likes to be doing them. She doesn't overthink the thumbnail, the title, clickbaity, the first 10 seconds have to be a hook. Like there is a science in YouTube. Uh,
Yeah,
if people don't click, you can have the best video in the world, but if people don't click, they'll never see it.
yeah,
So like title and thumbnail are probably 85% of the job. The video itself, not that it doesn't matter, but you need to get people to see it first. So there's a
yeah.
lot of like,
That's like the main. I would say the main thing is
yeah.
if people
And
don't click on it, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
the other thing, like you can have the best video in the world and the best footage in the world. If no one clicks, no one clicks, right? So
yeah,
so in this sense, she doesn't optimize for that. Um, but I think if you really treat it as a business and you optimize for it, yeah, I think it's possible to make money, but it's also not going to happen overnight. Like it takes time. It's not. I mean, the chances to go viral or small or getting smaller and smaller every day because there's a lot of people out there doing it. There's a lot of travel vloggers and a lot of YouTubers doing all that. So is it possible? Yes, 100%. I totally believe it is possible, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's gonna take realistically like before your channel get monetized, it's gonna take anywhere between 1, 2, and 3 years. Like quicker than 1 year would require a lot of skills, I think.
Would that be like I mean, it doesn't sound like it is maybe for you, but would that be even if she's doing it and you're kind of just with her or whatever, would that be kind of like the ultimate goal though, is just to kind of get to a point where like all you're doing is filming as opposed to like doing the actual work that you're doing.
For
You know what I
her,
mean?
yeah, that would be her ultimate goal. Me, no, me, it's not my thing. I like to do stuff. I it's not my jam. But yeah, for her that would be her ultimate goal. Yeah, she would love to do that. She would love to be invited by like a tourism board to come for a week, and the video would be sponsored by the tourism board, and you get to stay here, visit that, you document everything, and your videos just bring people to the place, and you do
Yeah.
an exchange of service, you get paid for it like that. Yeah, she would love that. That would
To
be
me, I
her
mean,
goal.
it's
Yeah.
like the ultimate goal for I mean, for me, it's like I said, Casey Neistat when people will like pay him to come to the nicest
Yeah.
place and and like stay there and just film and it's like that to me is like man, I can't get much better than that. But the only downside to it,
Yeah.
I guess I would say, is like the famous part might be kind of annoying. Like if you're going places and a bunch of people recognize you and like want to take pictures with you, like you were saying happened to you in India, it would probably get kind of
Yeah.
annoying. But that's why like when I'm doing it, I try to like kind of like stay out of the video. But I
I
think
mean,
that
I think, I
people,
think, I think, before you get to the point where people recognize you in the street, also that's next level.
oh no, yeah, I
Like,
know. But I mean, I'm
like,
not saying like that would. Really afraid that to happen to me, but um in general, like I said, like when I'm filming I tend to like stay out of the video
yeah,
mostly just because I'm like I don't think that I'm really going to add anything to this,
yeah.
but I think that on YouTube people actually kind of like it when you're in the
People
video.
like people. People
Yeah,
like people. Yeah,
they
a
like to
lot.
watch people and listen to them talk, but to me it's kind of like when I'm watching this stuff I'd almost rather just see like the scenery as opposed to the person, but
Same. I think it's no, I totally get it because I'm the same than you. One of the reason I'm not interested in this, I don't watch vlogs. I I don't care about what people are doing. It sounds
yeah,
bad. Like I don't need to see someone's holiday or vacation. If I want to
yeah.
learn something about Thailand, I'm gonna watch a video telling me about Thailand, not telling me about them in Thailand.
Yeah, and I
I
agree,
want
especially
I,
when
I
it's like
want to see
really
like a top
long.
10 destination or like whatever. Like tell me where to go, tell me what to see. It's very
Yeah,
practical.
yeah. Like
I don't care
you just
about
want,
what you had for food.
yeah,
Like,
like you just want the main points. You don't want to watch them. Yeah, go eat or
yeah,
whatever. And especially when it's long too. If it's like 20 minutes long, you're like, I don't want to. Yeah, I just
yeah.
want the
When
quick.
when my wife loves to consume this content, she watches a lot of vlogs. She's been watching vlogs for years. Like there's some people that she's been watching when they were like tiny YouTubers, and now they're massive YouTubers, and she knows everything about them. So she likes to consume this content, hence she likes to create it, which makes sense. When me, I don't understand this content, so I don't get any interest in it.
Yeah, I mean it's really kind of crazy. Like how many people are doing it now and how much more of a reality it is. And it's like I could be wrong about this, but I was like telling my fiance the other day, I was like, I'm pretty sure if somebody is like good looking, can talk, you don't even really need to be good looking, but I guess you need to be able to like talk and like kind of like somewhat like charming or whatever. I think that most people today, if you really put in the effort and like you did like a video like every day or whatever, I think you could probably make it. It's just a matter of actually doing it. And it's like I said, I have a hard time, especially when it's just by myself doing it. But if I could
Yeah,
just get myself to like um do it, I think that like I kind of think that anybody can do it. But like, I mean, some of the people who I see who are doing it, it's kind of like, well, if they can do it, I kind of feel like I should be able to do it. It's just a matter of doing it. You know what I mean? I could be wrong about that. There could be some, like, obviously you have to be strategic about it and you have to kind of be smart about it. But
yeah. I think
I
I
don't think
think
it's like only for like the top, you know, 1% or something, you know?
no, I agree. I don't think you need to be special. I think it's accessible to regular people. Um, I don't think you need to live a special life to be able to do this kind of things. I think people like to connect with people. I think people like to relate. I think people like storytelling and stuff like that. I think it all comes down to having a little bit of a personality. Like if you're boring on camera, like it's gonna be hard. Like
Yeah.
you need to have a bit of personality, charisma, like a little thing. Like it's hard
Yeah.
to define, but yeah.
Like I
And
would say I would say like you like to give an example of somebody could do it, like if you wanted to do it, you could do it. You know what I mean? Like um or I even think potentially me. It's just like it's not like I think people think of it as it being some sort of like you got to be like
you
I
have
don't
to be
know.
special. Yeah. No, you don't
No,
need to
yeah,
be extraordinary. You just need to have a bit of personality and
yeah,
being okay to be
sociable,
out there.
yeah,
Yeah. And then, but I think so that's one side, like being able to do that. But then I really believe that if you want to make money and if you want to make a living out of it, you need to be very, very strategic about the whole analytics and editing of the and packaging the video. Let's put it this way. It's the whole packaging. Because again, you can have the best life in the world and film the best freaking content in the world. If people don't click, no one will ever know.
yeah. So, and I mean
So
that's kind
yeah.
of like where you come in, right? And I'm assuming you can help your wife with that. Is like, are there any tips that you can give being a
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even
again, I
know
mean,
what to
it's
call you, but
yeah,
what is
consultant.
your
It's
a
well,
consultant?
yeah,
Yeah, is there any
yeah,
tips
yeah.
being a consultant, YouTube or online consultant, where somebody like
Mhm.
me or anybody can learn like what could I be doing
I
to
mean,
strategize this?
ultimately, it's funny because it's not. I'm gonna make it very simple, but like thumbnail, title, and the first 10 seconds of your video. Like, think about it as a consumer. When you open YouTube on your laptop on your phone, you just scroll. You see, I don't know, on your laptop you see what like 8 or 6 thumbnails, I think, before you scroll or whatever. Think about it. What makes you click? What makes you open a video? Like it's the title, it's whatever title there is on the thumbnail, and also the thumbnail itself and the title itself. Like is key. Like what makes you click? It's shitty, but it has to be clickbaity. It has to be. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it has to be like real flashy with like colorful
Yeah,
letters
like
and
and there's a science behind it. Like usually thumbnails with people like with a half of it being a face or like like this kind of framing do better than something small or like a very beautiful scenery. But like yeah, there is a science behind it. I mean, if you want to know everything about YouTube, like watch Mr. Beast talking uh on the Colin and Samir show, like Colin and Samir YouTube channel. They are like uh, very deep into the content creator, the creator economy, and they did like 2 or 3 2 hours long interview with Colin and Samir, with Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast dissect everything about how to make a good video and how to make a good thumbnail and how to make a good title. Like learn from the best. Don't learn from me. There's a guy there that has 350 million subscribers. He's the biggest YouTube channel in the world. Like he's giving everything away for free about how to do it. Just listen to
yeah,
him, study
yeah.
him. Like
Which is kind
that's
of
my
crazy
best.
that he is giving the advice, being one of the biggest guys. That's nice of him to
Yeah,
do. And obviously, if you watch his stuff, it's like you want to impersonate that. The problem that I have with that is like I hate, like you said, I hate that like trying to impersonate what he's doing because it is so clickbaity and it is so like he's talking so fast and like I've heard that like everything he does is like down to like a science, like the way he
yeah,
talks,
yeah,
like the way he looks, like everything in his video, the edits,
yeah.
which is extremely it is very difficult to do, but to do obviously what he's doing, you actually need like money at that point. But um yeah, so last couple questions, then we can end it because we're coming up on 3 hours. So one, I wanted to ask you about you. It sounded like you like Miami, but would you say that America, especially I've heard this about Miami, where they're like we're kind of like fuck COVID and all that. Like they kind of have like, would you say that Americans in general, even though you like them, tend to have kind of like a maybe like an arrogance about to them? Um, or no? Would you say
I
overall you
uh,
feel like they're pretty good people?
both. I see why people say that, but I understand why people would say Americans could be seen as arrogant and stuff like that. But I don't see that as a bad thing. Like I think people say that in a way that in general, um, Americans tend to be more um, outspoken, more confident in the when they talk, um, more than like British people, for example. And I think some people are gonna see that as arrogant. Some people are gonna see that as just being confident and optimistic and ambitious. Like those traits are very similar, and you can see them one way or the other. There's obviously some arrogant prick everywhere, right? But that's just it's not because of where you're from. It's just people are people. But I think it's more that I think it's just being more outspoken and a little bit louder, maybe. Um, but I don't see that as a bad thing. Um, my, I mean, I've seen a fraction of the US. It's a big ass country with 350 million people, I think, right? So um, I'm sure it's very different from a state to another, and especially in the political climate that we're in at the moment, I'm pretty sure there's some state where maybe I would feel less confident about going in the US. But my time in Miami was amazing because also Miami is it's a bubble. Like it's half American, half Cuban, Colombian, Venezuelan, Argentinian, Brazilian, and all that. Um, so you have such a strong Latin influence that it's a very interesting melting pot and a very interesting dynamic and energy and vibe that I don't think is similar to any other place. And it's very obvious. Like you drive 2 hours west and you go to like Naples on the west coast of Florida, very different vibe. Or you drive up north anywhere. You don't need to go as far as Orlando, like just a little bit lower than Orlando, like central Florida. Very different vibe. Like people very different in Miami. So I think like South Florida, Miami, Dade, it's a very different. It's its own bubble, and yeah, I had a blast. I would. It was for me like my the Miami that I knew probably changed since COVID and since a lot of things, but the Miami that I knew like best city in the world, honestly, freaking amazing.
And then as far as Cuba goes, you kind of mentioned Cuba with the communism. Like, would you say that here in America we kind of like look at it as being a bad thing? I don't necessarily, but like people do. Would you say that you think that it's kind of a maybe a bad thing, good thing? Like, did you like the politics of
I,
Cuba overall?
no, I had a good time there because of the people that I met, but no, I mean I don't want to be in their shoes. I don't think they live a happy life. I think they're very controlled and they have to be very careful about what they say and there is they feel safe to speak in their own house, but in the street or in public spaces, they are very mindful about what they say about the country. Um, so no, like internet is very controlled and regulated. Access to information, therefore, is very controlled and regulated. Um, anything about the economy is regulated, right? And they have to do what they can to get some US dollars from the side to be able to actually have access to things like no, it's very shitty. I mean, you have no idea how hard it is to just buy toothpaste from a shop. Like everything, all the supply is so controlled by the government and everything that having access to very basic stuff. Like I said, my wife had the miscarriage over there, and she didn't have any, sanitary stuff, so we had to look for it. and it was a pain in the ass. It was very hard to buy just what she needed uh, while having a period, right? So just no, like as much as it was a great place to vacation, I don't think it's funny, right? I think I think people, I think human can be happy anywhere in any place that we live if we don't look too much on what's going on somewhere else. So I don't think Cuban people are unhappy. I think they can live a happy life, like ultimately they're surrounded with families, they're loved, and they have a job and they have food on the table, right? You can be content, let's put it this way, with that. You can see you can have some gratitude for that. But ultimately, when you start to compare it with other people and the freedom that other people have and everything, that's where it gets a bit more, again, when you need to be careful about what you say in the street, like that's getting a bit into shady territory, right?
Yeah. And then in terms of the like the logistics of, but this is like one thing that I've thought about. It's like if I'm traveling all the time, just getting like medicine or something like or
Yeah.
just any types of logistics of being able to get stuff. Is that kind of complicated? Like, so let's just say you have like a prescription medication or something. You kind of constantly have to get like transferred to like a different country?
Yeah,
You know
it
what I
can
mean?
be it can be a pain in the ass. I'm just gonna give an example. Like my wife has ADHD, so she got diagnosed in Thailand because it was much much cheaper and quicker to get an official diagnosis. So she got diagnosed over there. She got a prescription of like Ritalin over there with a Thai prescription. But then when we went back to the UK a few months ago, uh, they didn't recognize the diagnosis and the prescription because it was not done by someone certified in the UK. So she couldn't get it. She literally had to beg someone, and she managed to get like just 30 pills. But ultimately, they said, I know, like if you want to come back and be able to get it, you need to be diagnosed again here and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, stuff like that can be a pain in the ass. And there's no like global communication and stuff like that when it comes to real diagnosis and stuff. So very often everything is clustered. And if you've been diagnosed in one country, you will have to get your prescription in this country. So either go back every 3 months to get your thing, get a family member to get it and send it to you if it's possible. Not always, but no, yeah, it can be a pain, to be honest, especially when it's health related and prescription and stuff like that. Everything else is kind of alright, but that can be a pain point.
Okay, and then where else do you want to go? Where are some of the places that you haven't been that you want to go? And then are there some places that you don't necessarily like, you kind of like want to stay away from?
Hmm.
And then like kind of curious about China, like how easy would you be able to go to China, or is that kind of closed off?
Um, okay, so in order, places I want to go to, um, Japan is high on the list. Um, it's just too expensive at the moment. Like we could go in vacation, but if we want to spend a few months there and actually like live and nomad over there, it'll cost too much. We can't afford it. Um, I'm curious about parts of Africa. I've never been to the African continent, um, and I'm very curious about it. I would like to go to countries like Morocco. They look just very pretty, but I've seen some new digital nomad hubs popping up in Kenya and South Africa recently, and they are investing a lot of money in the economy and and local cities to bring more digital nomad over there. And I'm curious about it. I will need to make some research. Like there's always this safety thing that you have the concern when you hear about some countries in Africa. Um, but I've heard positive things about it. So I I'm curious to go on an adventure over there. I think going to Kenya would be incredible, uh, with everything that's around. Um, Iceland is a country that I would love to see, especially with the drone,
Yeah.
man. Like when you look at drone photographs of Iceland, is insane.
Yeah.
uh, that's more a country to vacation for 2 weeks, but yeah, very high on the list. Um, where I don't want to go, well, your question about China is interesting because I would love to go to China. I think everything that we hear about, I would like to see it for myself. Um, I just don't know if I'll be able to work there, and I would need to make some research. But you keep hearing about censorship and about limited access to Google services or whatever. So if I go there but I can't access Gmail or Google Drive or whatever, like I'll be a bit stuck. So I need to make sure that I could work like VPN or find my way around there. So I will need to investigate. But honestly, if I could, I would like to go. Yeah, I think it's a very intriguing country, and it looks some places look insane from like a landscape, natural beauty perspective. Um, and I'm just curious to see if what the TV is telling us is true or not, to be honest.
You're curious to see what?
I'm curious to see if what the media, is telling us about China is true or not.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Because
I feel like I must be wrong about this, but I feel like I heard like you can't even go there, or it's like really hard to go there because they're communists or whatever, right? Is that true or
no, you
no?
can you can go as a tourist. Like you can go
Okay,
for like a month at least for sure.
okay. And then, I mean, are
So
there any places you'd recommend to stay away from, or you wouldn't want to go to?
uh, I mean, the only countries that I would avoid are always based on just current situation, right? Just stay away from, you know, places at war or whatever. Like I have no interest in going to Russia, at the moment, for example, or Ukraine.
Yeah.
But saying that, there's one thing that I want to do is you can do the longest train ride in the world is in Russia, and you go from Russia to China, and it starts in like Moscow, I think, and it goes to Shanghai or whatever, and it's the Trans-Siberian train, and it takes something like 12 days, and you go through I think 9 different time zone, and you go through insane landscape, and you live in a train for 10 days. I love to do that. So when
Wow. Yeah.
when 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 the vibe will be better over there, I'll consider it. Not right now, but no,
Yeah.
I don't really have any place that I don't want to go to. I mean, I want to stay safe, so I will always make sensible choices. But what's true now could be very different in 5 years, right? So
I mean, I hate to hate on the Middle. I mean, I'm obviously fine with the Middle East, but I'm wondering like if some places in the Middle East, like like that are really strict with like would would be able to go to.
yeah,
Like,
it's always the same. Also, like there's some places that I would like to go just for a week in vacation, like in and out, very organized and nothing adventurous, right? Where some places I would have a different thing, but no, I mean again, like I would just avoid countries that are at war. Like I don't want to get kidnapped for political reason or whatever.
yeah,
But those things are usually temporary, right? It usually doesn't last too long. Because I mean, and it's not even that I would be also scared, but also again, I need to be online to make money, so I need to make sure that I go somewhere where I can also do my job. um,
yeah. As
so
long as
there
they,
is
yeah, as long as they have.
there's also that to take into account.
Yeah. Did Indonesia like not have good internet? It sounds like.
It depends on the island you go to. Um, a lot of digital nomad love Bali. I think Bali is very overrated. My wife loves it, so it's all different. Uh, we all have different tastes as human beings, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's not the best internet in the world, Bali at all.
And then like, what language do they speak there? Like, what? I don't even really know. Like, what kind of
So in Indonesia, they speak Bahasa, which is the same language than in Malaysia. Like Malaysia and Indonesian is the same language. It's like Malay Bahasa, they call it. Um, Yeah, a lot of people speak English anyway. It's usually fine. You get by in English. And I mean, it's never been easier to travel with Google Translate those days. It's not.
Yeah. So
Language
you, I mean,
language should not stop people from traveling anymore.
yeah, because with the translator or whatever on your phone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So do you feel like the future of um being a digital nomad is looking good? I mean, it seems like it is. It seems like it's just going to get better and better, right?
it's just getting started.
Yeah.
I think it's just getting started, and it started a while ago. But like we said a bit before, it's never been easier to make money online, and it's only gonna get easier.
Yeah.
It's never gonna get worse. There's always gonna be, as we go, more opportunities for people to make money online. And if you can make money online, you can be where hell whatever you want. So yeah, I think it's only gonna get better. I think we'll see more and more people embracing this lifestyle. I think more people are opening their eyes to the fact that they don't have to conform to a 9 to 5, to living in the same place for their entire life. I think people are going to realize that they don't have to wait to be retired to be happy and to live a joyful life. More people are getting aware that they should just live life now, and that is actually possible thanks to all the technology and the world that we live in. And yeah, it's only going to get better and easier, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. To me, well, what you guys are doing is, it's what I want to be doing. I think it's you guys are living, a great life, and I think it's much better than the 9 to 5 typical work week. So yeah, lastly, is there anything that you wanted to plug? I don't even really know if there's anything that you're on to plug, but also obviously your wife's YouTube. I'm curious to watch that if that's okay. And then
Yeah.
is there anything that you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, everything that I do is on my website. I will send you the link, but it's jeremieandre.com, my first name, my last name.com. And over there, you can find my consulting. I've got a newsletter where I write about digital nomadism, entrepreneurship, personal growth. So I actually finished today writing a guide on how to become a digital nomad because everyone is asking me about that. So I finished it today. I'm going to post it in a couple of weeks. Um, so I'll send it to you.
On Substack
Yeah,
or
yeah, on Substack. Yeah,
how is
yeah.
that? Is that pretty good? Like, do you get paid to do that, or is that just
I don't. Yeah, I started very recently, so no, yeah. But I've got 3 people paying. But yeah, I'm hoping to grow that. It's something that I feel I like creating written content more than video or stuff like that.
cool?
Yeah, and my wife YouTube channel is Rosie Andre, so I'll send you the links and you can add them in the show note.
Yeah. And then is there anything, lastly, is there anything, I always ask this, if you're into podcast, music, movies, TV shows, whatever, just to like see what you're into, like in terms of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts or watch a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of Lex Friedman, The Diary of a CEO, Colin and Samir. Those are probably like the one that I watch the most. The Tim Ferriss show also, OG. You can't escape him. I watch more YouTube than TV those days. I
Same
spend
with
a lot of
me.
time watching YouTube, and especially like I don't not educational podcast in the sense like classic education, but just conversations like that where I learn stuff.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time watching that more than traditional TV those days.
Yeah. I'm always driving for my job, so
Oh
I
yeah,
always ask that to like just get a sense of, I'm always asking people if there's more stuff to listen to, because I enjoy listening while driving, and I almost like it more than TV because it's like I'm doing something and listening to it as
yeah.
opposed to just sitting there watching. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Jeremie. It was great having you on. And if you ever want to come back on, let me know. And otherwise, have a good
It'd
one
be
out
great.
there in Germany.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
we could have gone on for a while, so we could do it again.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.